may happen again in the future, but when it is avoidable, we should avoid it. In this case, the approach was, let's see how fast Lando is closing, and let's see if overtaking comes naturally. When we saw that it doesn't come so naturally, then we asked the drivers to swap, so that we wouldn't lose the race time for both. Stella thinks that the pace between Norris and Piastri in the Japanese Grand Prix at the stage of the race, when the team had to intervene, was exaggerated by the excessive tyre degradation. In a race like this, every lap of tyre that you save, so if you pit 1 lap later than somebody else, you gain 1/10, added Stella. Lando at this stage pitted 6 laps later than Piastri, so his car is automatically 6/10 quicker than any other car. Also, in addition to that, I have to say that Lando's pace was very good in absolute terms. And if anything, we have to look at Oscar, at where he could have gained the 1 or 2 tenths overall pace that seemed to lack compared to Lando. Interesting to see that they're not wanting to have these team orders too much more in the future. We don't really disagree with them all too much, because it can really provide some tricky situations for teammates and could provide some crashes as well. We've seen it in the past between, them. They had a bit of a crash there in Monza. They bumped wheels, fortunately not causing any damage, but we don't want to see them getting too close and having those issues during races, because of course that just causes major headaches on the team wall there between all of the management at McLaren. We've seen this though in the past as well with other teams. Mercedes also recently in, I think it was Singapore, as well as now this last weekend out in Japan. Their drivers were fighting, but you kind of sometimes have to let them fight out on track. But other times when the team can see that their pace is so much different and one driver has a much faster pace than the other, you do just have to enforce team orders and say, come guys now, Lando is faster than you, let's just let him go through. And if he can't make any big changes in the end of the race, then we'll swap once again. But yeah, very interesting to see that McLaren are just saying that they're not too upset about the fact that they're having to make these team orders, but they would like to minimize that in the future. Just looking at some updates on the 2026 regulations though that have been released here. There's just been a few more updates on that, as been released by RedBull Racing Daily on Twitter. 30 kilograms of fuel is to be used to charge the battery of the Formula 1 car, with the width reduced from 190 centimeters to 200 centimeters, as well as the wheelbase length is going to be reduced to 340 centimeters from 360. A reduction to 330 centimeters is possible, but the teams have to show resistances, or have shown resistances towards it. A 40% reduction in downforce is also expected, as well as overtaking should become easier without the use of artificial aids, probably reducing the likes of DRS as well as the ERS that comes into play. I'm really looking forward to the 2026 regulations. I'm hoping that the cars get a lot smaller, because that will allow closer racing, as well as closer racing on certain circuits, such as street circuits like Monaco, Azerbaijan. We want to see closer racing between these cars. We want to see smaller cars. We want to see the noise of these cars being brought up as well. There's, of course, a big engine regulations change coming in 2026. There's been a big freeze up until then for the regulations. But whether we'll see major upsets coming from those regulation changes, of course, Audi makes their way into sports that season. I'm really looking forward to 2026. It's really looking like that season is going to be an absolute cracker for all of us. And we sure do hope that all of you guys will be joining us for all of that as well. But that has been it for me here today on Forever Motorsport. Thank you very much for joining me. Do be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy all of the content that we are bringing out to you guys. There will be a whole bunch of short form content being brought to you throughout the day as well. Please do be sure to hit that like button, and do be sure to hit that notification bell icon to get notifications from us when we do upload on this channel. Thank you very much though for joining us here today. I have been Reece here on Forever Motorsports. Cheers. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER. BITDEFENDER is a global leader in cyber security. BITDEFENDER is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports, here for another daily Formula 1 news video. And once again, a lot to talk about, as you've already seen in our poll that is asking you guys, do you think Alpine will be able to resolve their infighting and return to the top of the Formula 1 field? If you have not voted in that poll, please do be sure to go and cast your vote there for that. And let us know what you think about Alpine. We'll go straight in, though, with that news about Alpine. The Alpine Formula 1 CEO reveals his plan to fix a huge amount of internal issues at Alpine. The Alpine CEO, Luca Di Maio, has outlined a clear plan to address significant problems within his Formula 1 team. The French outfit began the latest regulation changes in a reasonable fashion last year, establishing themselves as the best of the rest. Despite reliability presenting itself as a clear weakness, Alpine had a strong foundation to build upon for 2023. However, the team's aspirations to fight at the front failed to materialize over the winter break. From day one in pre-season, the A523 proved to be relatively uncompetitive. Despite the quiet confidence shown by Safnauer in interviews, there were few signs that Alpine would be world beaters in Bahrain. Pierre Gasly's P9 finish was a strong recovery from qualifying, validating the early consensus. Still, later events in Australia and Miami provided some optimism for the team, and that they could pull themselves somehow up the field. Under certain conditions, the French team was capable of giving the likes of Aston Martin something to worry about. Although a fantastic weekend in Monaco provided further encouragement, the A523 has shown little promise since then. Whilst the car is relatively compliant.
Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Motorsports here. You're joined by myself, Mark, and my very good friend here, Reece, who's of course going to be reviewing the sprint shootout that we've just had. The big news of the day, McLaren 1-2. Reece, what an incredible little piece of driving from the two.
Yes, a phenomenal end to the session here in Qatar, almost said Bahrain, but as I said, a phenomenal end to the session. It was really exciting at the end, with Max Verstappen having his first lap time deleted in that final shootout session, and then Piastri just pulling it out of the bag at the end. Lando Norris was on a faster lap, but he lost it in the final sector. So it went to Piastri, and Piastri takes pole. To take you through our top 10, Oscar Piastri finishes in P1 with a 124.4, Lando Norris in P2 with a 124.5, and Verstappen in P3 with a 124.6. So very close between that top three. Then through the rest of the top 10, Russell in 4th, Carlos Sainz in 5th, Leclerc 6th, Hülkenberg 7th, Perez 8th, Alonso 9th, Ocon 10th.
And then, of course, we move into our bottom 10. Now, notably from Q1 and Q2, we saw a big name drop out in Q2, or rather sprint shootout 2, whatever you want to call it. That is, of course, Lewis Hamilton, who you've not heard until now. He starts the race in 12th, well, the sprint in 12th, of course. Gasly starts in 11th, then Bottas 13th, Lawson 14th, Zhou 15th, Stroll in 16th, Albon 17th, Tsunoda 18th, Magnussen 19th, and 20th, as per usual, Logan Sargent.
Yes, Logan Sargent had a relatively good day today. Logan Sargent?
Starting in 20th, yes, for the sprint. Of course,
sorry, not Logan Sargent. I'm thinking of Liam Lawson.
Yes.
Yeah. Liam Lawson had a relatively good day today, getting ahead of his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, who qualifies down on 18th. A little bit of a mix-up between the names. They both start with an L. That's why. And, yeah, he had a really good day out there, finishing up in P14. Unfortunately, he could have finished a little bit higher, but his final lap time was deleted in shootout 2, but still a good position for him to start the race, or at least the sprint race in later this afternoon.
Yeah, of course, only the top 8 get points there, so he's going to really struggle to get points in such a short race. But nonetheless, a good start for him. He also outperforms his teammate again, Yuki Tsunoda starting down in 18th position. But Lance Stroll, after not making out of Q1 yesterday, didn't make it out of sprint shootout 1 either today. all the way down in 16th, and he would have been 17th had a couple of lap times not been deleted for track limits. So very, very concerning for Lance Stroll and Aston Martin. I think that's been the big talk of the weekend. What's going to happen with him? Is this the breaking point for his Formula One career? Of course, yesterday we saw a very angry man. I think he must be angry now today as well.
I certainly think publicly he has lost a lot of credibility in the Formula One paddock. Social media has been set ablaze in the past couple of hours because of the way that he acted yesterday in qualifying and the way that he shoved his engineer out the way or his trainer out the way. It's not what we want to see. He's not necessarily a very good representative for Formula One drivers anymore, and I think possibly there's going to be a lot of push maybe from other people back in Aston Martin as well as sponsors, because at the end of the day he's also representing them and they don't want to be represented by somebody like that.
No, not at all. Meanwhile, his teammate, I've just got the news now, has had his lap time deleted.
Oh, no. So
Alonso will no longer start in 5th. He will start in 9th. So it's just run through then. Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc will start in 5th and 6th. Russell in 4th now as a result of Alonso getting his lap time deleted. Very unfortunate for the other Aston Martin driver, but he still significantly outperforms his teammate, who's down in 16th. Russell also, to be fair, outperforming Hamilton by quite a bit. Russell up in 4th, Hamilton down in 12th. Do we think McLaren can hold on to 1 and 2 later for the sprint shootout?
Well, I would hope so, because it would make a really exciting sprint shootout ahead of us. But I don't know. Max Verstappen is really hungry to take that championship here today. And I think you're going to have to be a force to take that away from him.
Yeah, that's exactly that. And of course, we're going to be watching that with all eyes very much set on the screens, as Max Verstappen can potentially win the Drivers' Championship for 2023 in today's sprint shootout. It all comes down to his teammate as well, how he does. Sergio Perez starts in 8th. That is, of course, the last points position in the sprint. So be sure to join us on the channel. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. And we'll see you later for that sprint. And you'll be dragged onto the next stream right now. But thank you guys so much for watching Forever Motorsports. Cheerio.
Welcome to the Lusail International Circuit, home to the Qatar Grand Prix. The Lusail International Circuit is a renowned motorsport venue located in the desert landscape of the Lusail region. This state-of-the-art circuit is primarily known for hosting MotoGP events and made its debut on the Formula One calendar in 2021. The maiden edition of the Qatar Grand Prix was held on November 21st, 2021, substituting for the cancelled Australian Grand Prix that year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The race saw Lewis Hamilton emerge victorious for Mercedes, securing the top spot on the podium, followed by Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso's Alpine. The 5.4-kilometer Lusail circuit has been completely resurfaced since 2021, with a new pit and paddock complex. The circuit is fast and flowing with 16 medium and high-speed corners, as well as no heavy braking zones throughout the track. The main straight is more than 1 kilometer long, which should provide some great overtakes in the sprint race and in the race on Sunday. Watch now as you get taken around a lap of the Lusail International Circuit. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Formula One content, and do be sure to join us for our coverage of the Qatar Grand Prix. Hello everybody and welcome as we get ready for the Qatar Grand Prix sprint race to get underway. Here, just a few minutes left to get going, 8 minutes and 18 seconds as we're seeing Oscar Piastri get ready to get into his car. Just rewatching one of his interviews that he did before this, before he went and got onto the grid, just asking him how he's feeling ahead of this sprint race. Of course, there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders with him starting ahead of his teammate Lando Norris, the more experienced driver in that team. But I think that the goal for their team today will be to maximize all of these points. They really do want to close down that gap to Mercedes, Ferrari, and Aston Martin, of course. There's still a few more races in the season to close down on the points, and at every opportunity they can score, they're going to want to. So, a very good opportunity today for McLaren with Lando Norris also on that front row of the grid, of course, also being interviewed now. Yeah, I think it's going to be very exciting. I think they have a lot to try and do, of course, with Max Verstappen hurtling at them from behind. It's going to be very tricky into turn 1. I think they need to keep very clear of each other, first of all, and then second of all, they need to be very wary of that driver, Max Verstappen, coming up from behind, because I think he's going to be very, very competitive. We were hearing a little bit before this got underway that a lot of the teams were looking into one of Max Verstappen's lap times that got him that third place on the podium, because on the start of this race on the grid, and apparently he was slightly over the track limits. It looks like, yeah, it may have nothing really to not nothing really to do, but no basis for that, as RedBull have come out and said that no, they think that everything is all right. Yeah, but we'll have to wait and see if any teams decide to pursue that after the session, as yeah, we're just looking now at Oscar Piastri in his car, as well as Lando Norris. Yeah, I'm just going to take a very quick break while I run the track guide before we do get going. We have just, let me check that timer, we have 6 minutes and 6 seconds to get going before this race does get underway, and I'm going to transfer you over one more time to that track guide before we get underway here for the sprint race. Welcome to the Lusail International Circuit, home to the Qatar Grand Prix. The Lusail International Circuit is a renowned motorsport venue located in the desert landscape of the Lusail region. This state-of-the-art circuit is primarily known for hosting MotoGP events and made its debut on the Formula 1 calendar in 2021. The maiden edition of the Qatar Grand Prix was held on November 21st, 2021, substituting for the cancelled Australian Grand Prix that year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The race saw Lewis Hamilton emerge victorious for Mercedes, securing the top spot on the podium, followed by Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso's Alpine. The 5.4-kilometer Lusail circuit has been completely resurfaced since 2021, with a new pit and paddock complex. The circuit is fast and flowing with 16 medium and high-speed corners, as well as no heavy braking zones throughout the track. The main straight is more than 1 kilometer long, which should provide some great overtakes in the sprint race and in the race on Sunday. Watch now as you get taken around a lap of the Lusail International Circuit. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Formula 1 content, and do be sure to join us for our coverage of the Qatar Grand Prix. Hello and welcome back to Forever Motorsports. I'm hoping that you're all a lot more familiar now with the track that we are going around in the sprint race today. And we have now just had those Formula 1 titles rolling, and we're looking overhead at this track. A lot of comments there from Hi, who's saying Lando or Piastri, I think, are yet to not count, well, to count out Max, who will finish P1 in the sprint race. Currently, we have a poll up and running. Piastri is taking 23% of that poll, 16% going to Norris, and 53% going to Max Verstappen, with 8% going to other. Please do let us know in the comment section if you voted for other. Let us know who you are rooting for the race today. Not long left to go. 2 minutes and 20 seconds till we get the formation lap of this sprint race, and then of course we will get going. Very, very exciting. Do be sure to let me know down in the comment section where you're watching from. Do be sure to like the video as well. It really helps us get recommended in the YouTube search bar, and just helps us get more people in on the stream. It just means that more people are able to comment with you guys, and we can have some more constructive conversations down there in the comment section. And do be sure as well, if you're enjoying our Formula 1 content, to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you are notified every time we do go live and upload a video for you guys. Yeah, just looking now at our grid. Logan Sargent will be starting from P20 with Kevin Magnussen down in 19th place. Yuki Tsunoda then in 18th, Alex Albon in 17th, Lance Stroll 16th, Zhou Guanyu 15th, Liam Lawson in 14th, with Valtteri Bottas starting alongside him in 13th. Then in 12th, we have Lewis Hamilton, not having the greatest qualifying session in that sprint shootout earlier this afternoon. Then next to him is Pierre Gasly in P11. His teammate Esteban Ocon is ahead of him in P10. He did not get a time in that final sprint session because of the fact that he did get his lap time deleted. Alonso as well had his lap time deleted. Sergio Perez is down in 8th with Nico Hulkenberg alongside him in 7th. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, the 2 Ferraris, are on the 3rd row of the grid in 5th and 6th. Carlos Sainz 5th, Charles Leclerc 6th, George Russell then is 4th, Verstappen in 3rd, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri locking out the front row for McLaren. The first time in a very long time that we have had a locked out grid from the McLarens. Muad asking, where is Mark? Mark is coming in a few minutes. He's just setting up some things on the other side. He will join us though midway through the session. Yeah, really looking forward to this as our ticker starts to just get down there as it's about to run out and we get going for our formation lap. I'm going to hide that for now because there's no need to have that anymore. Let's transfer that over. If it wants to listen to me. No, it doesn't. There we go. That should be live now. Donnie Lessing saying, hello from Volcom. Like I said, Piastri, Verstappen, and Russell. Thank you for letting us know your predictions for the sprint race. Yeah, Brandon watching from Zimbabwe, Eddie watching from the Netherlands. Thank you very much for letting me know where you're all watching from. Do be sure to comment down in the comment section and I will try my best to give you guys all a shout out. All of the tie blankets are now removed. We see the 2 McLarens starting on a set of mediums. I'm trying to see if everyone is starting on a set of mediums or if we actually do have some soft runners out there, as they are now released for the start of the formation lap. There will be 19 laps of this sprint race, and yeah, we get going now for the formation lap ahead of the start of the sprint. Do be sure to drop your predictions down in the comment section, and yeah, let us know who you're going to back for this session, as I think yeah, Max Verstappen is going to be looking surely very, very dominant. But will he be able to win the World Championship, the Drivers' Championship here today, or will he have to wait until the race on Sunday? It's looking very likely that he could take it today. We're looking at the compounds that we have here available to us in Qatar. It's the C3, the C2, and the C1 compound. I've been saying, though, throughout the weekend that I think it's maybe a step too soft because we're already seeing how there's issues with the Pirelli compounds. They've had to paint some of the curbs and extend them a little bit more onto the track because of the fact that these curbs are so aggressive. And Pirelli saw overnight that a lot of the sidewalls of the tires were taking a lot of damage from those aggressive curbs, and they decided that it was not safe for the race on Sunday, so they've extended these curbs, extended those track limits, of course, as well, and the drivers are just having to be a little bit more careful. Murad also asking, will Lewis Hamilton have a chance of a podium today? I certainly do not think so. He's starting down in 12th. Yeah. Lindy, we're saying hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us again. Lindy, we're one of our regulars here on the channel. I'm sure we'll get a whole bunch of our other regulars jumping in soon as we're about to hit 200 concurrent viewers. Thank you very much for joining. Do be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying our content. If you like the video, it does help us get recommended a little bit more in the search bar. Are you going to join me? You're just sitting next to me. I didn't know.
I was just going to watch the first formation lap, but nonetheless, I am coming in. You can hear my voice. Reece is not obviously speaking. It's my voice. It's coming in very soon. I just wanted to join and see the start of this race. I will unfortunately have to head out and in and out again during the streams and having to manage a whole lot of other things, but I'm very, very keen to watch the beginning of the sprint race, which I think Piastri and Norris will have a fantastic start. They usually do. They're usually one of the fastest starting cars on the grid. So I think Max Verstappen's going to have to try and put up with that. And will he be able to compete with them? I'm not so sure. But I think that Piastri and Norris could be in for a double podium here in the sprint race. That could be very, very good.
It could be, but I don't think you can discount the likes of George Russell in that Mercedes. They have been quite fast through the practice session. Ish.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, it's exactly that. So this will take you through the opening lap here of the Qatar sprint races. All the cars are now lining their way up on the grid here, and we're just waiting for the few stragglers at the end. Sargent, of course, the last one in his Williams at the very back of the grid, as per usual. And he is just coming onto the main straight now, behind the Haas of Magnussen and behind Yuki Tsunoda, as everybody's now lining up. Lewis Hamilton, of course, way back there in 12th position now, gets himself in his grid box there. And
the two McLarens having to wait a very long time on the line here while we wait for the last few stragglers to make their way to the grid boxes. We now do have that medical car lining up at the back of the grid, which means that we should be getting the lights out very, very shortly here in Qatar. Getting very excited. The green flag is now waved. We get one. Do we? I'm waiting for the lights to get out, but it's taking a very long time here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. And out and away we go. Oscar Piastri has a good start there. George Russell has a brilliant start. He overtakes Lando Norris on the outside. Max Verstappen falling further back. He's lost quite a few places here at the start. He's all the way down in 6th now. Has a bit of a twitch there. Through turn 1, he's getting overtaken by 2 other people. The Ferraris are both ahead of Max Verstappen, but we have Oscar Piastri in P1. He's now being chased down. Big crash in the background. We see a bunch of dust all being kicked up by drivers going off the track. We're seeing Max Verstappen coming under a lot of pressure. He's now overtaken Lando Norris. We're having, who else is fighting there? Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris now are fighting it out. Liam Lawson has unfortunately been tagged. He's the one that was causing that big dust cloud there in the background. We're seeing now Max Verstappen having to reel back those places. He's got the 2 Ferraris ahead of him now. Could we get a safety car? Because Liam Lawson has not moved yet.
That was an incredible start there for Sainz, by the way, on a side note. Managed to make his way straight past everybody into 3rd position and was really trying to vie into that first corner. For even 1st and 2nd, it was an absolutely blitz start from both the Ferraris. And we do see Liam Lawson's beached. This is going to be a safety car. Safety car has been called. Safety car has been called. So everybody's going to stop now immediately. And safety car now results in the grid as it is. So, Lando Norris, terrible start for him. All the way down in 6th, but Piastri still in 1st. Max
Verstappen arguably had the worst start of everyone. He almost got overtaken by his own teammate and, well, not his own teammate, sorry, Esteban Ocon and Fernando Alonso almost overtook him. But we do have all of these cars slowing down. This is going to play into the hands of those on the medium tyres. And that is why those few drivers have rarely benefited. The likes of Russell, Sainz, and Leclerc have been able to have such a good start here because they started on a set of softs, while the likes of Piastri, Verstappen, and Norris started on a set of mediums.
And it's going to be very interesting now with the safety car so early on because it does mean that those tyres won't degrade as quickly as they might have in the race, and it might have been a bit of an edgy one towards the end of the session as to whether they could finish. But look at the blitz start from this Ferraris, and look at how poor a start Max Verstappen had.
Verstappen also got pushed off wide by Lando Norris. He's just, you can see how close he got as well to Fernando Alonso, and then he just had to really fend off as they're all now making their way through the start-finish straight. Yeah, those 2 Ferraris also getting really close together there. I'm waiting to see what happened to Liam Lawson, as we're now watching from his race perspective. He doesn't get a bad start. He looks like he gets a good lunge on I think the Alfa Romeo Valtteri Bottas into turn 1 and the other Alfa Romeo into turn 2. Ooh, and he just gets a tank slapper there and is unable to hold on to it.
Yeah, as Mark said, didn't actually take contact from anybody. Just unfortunately, just lost control of the car. Car just winded a bit and then ended up in the gravel. Could not get himself out. Just watch the start from Max Verstappen. Norris had a terrible start with Max Verstappen, and the 2 Ferraris went up on the inside and took them. And it was very late decision there from Norris to keep going into the corner. Max Verstappen had to dive out to avoid contact and is still sitting in 5th now as a result. He tried to make it back at Norris, and that's where he took him. But then, of course, you still see those 2 Ferraris ahead of him. They were also battling it out, almost forcing each other off the track. But a fantastic start for those 2 Ferraris. They must be chuffs. They could possibly take Piastri and Russell, of course, because I think both of them are on the medium tyre.
Yes, they are on the medium tyre, which means they should be more comfortable towards the end of the lap. Watching Sergio Perez's race restart, he has a massive snap of understeer into turn 1. He's really fighting with the steering wheel. But he had a really good start, considering that he's on the mediums. But you see how he just goes a little bit wide into that one corner, and he gets a bit washed out and just loses the momentum to everyone else.
Yeah, that's exactly that. So, I mean, a very bizarre start here in the sprint race. Max Verstappen drops from 3rd to 5th. Piastri still stays
in flag. Safety car's coming in this lap. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, no problem at all. So the safety car is going to come in, and then we're going to see a great restart here. I'm hoping to see from maybe the Ferraris, because they could really go for it. And Piastri's now let go, he's taking it
very soon. He's not wanting to be caught by George Russell behind, so he's just caught everyone out there, racing a little bit quicker than anyone may have thought he was going to.
Ferraris.
But these Ferraris are looking quite fast.
Fernando
Alonso making an easy move now on Lando Norris. Will he get round him into turn 1? He does. Brilliant move from Fernando Alonso. Oh, but actually, Lando Norris gets better momentum around the outside on him.
Yeah, Fernando Alonso tried the desperate overtake around the outside there, but was unable to take Norris into that first corner. Norris holds on to that position, though he's still down 4 positions so far in this race.
Fernando Alonso is still getting his elbows out, and he's really desperately trying to get that position away from Lando Norris as he's out on the inside on turn 5 and 6. A really difficult set of corners. As now George Russell takes the lead from Oscar Piastri. There goes the McLaren's hopes of getting a race win here today.
Wow.
Now Oscar Piastri is getting under pressure from the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, it just shows these soft tyre runners are moving a lot quicker. That's why Fernando Alonso is really putting pressure on Norris. But can they keep these tyres good for the rest of the race? That's the big problem.
That is the question for sure. They are faster in this stint of the race, but come the end, there's another yellow flag. Sargent lost it.
Sargent, it's always Sargent. It's just watching the replay of George Russell take Piastri, just dive in late on the inside, and it's actually a fantastic overtake.
Safety car has been called. Safety car has been called for Logan Sargent.
Is out. So, as per usual, Logan Sargent is out. Russell being told, big move, come on. Well, that's what he said about himself. But he moves into first position right now. But these soft tyre runners are going to be benefited once again by another safety car here.
Ooh, that is a big moment for Logan Sargent, and he beaches himself. Yeah. I mean, not too surprised. He just looks like he starts to lose it on entry. This is a really, really tricky circuit.
Yes, but I would say it's very similar to what happened to Lawson, except it's a different corner for Sargent. Same thing, though, just unfortunately catches a little less grip. The car just swings about, and then he can't control it. It just swings into the gravel, and the gravel here in Qatar is just absolutely menacing. You don't want to be anywhere near it because there's no ways you're getting out of it. And as a result, yet another safety car, 4 laps into this race. But now, Russell is our race leader. Piastri's now in second. Those 2 Ferraris putting a lot of pressure on him as well. Norris down in 6th. This is really not good for the medium tyre runners because they want to try and have a full race here because then the top tyre runners would have a lot of degradation on their tyres.
This is playing into the hands of the soft runners, as you say, Mark, because, of course, they are able to just get a lap in and then they cool their tyres down again, which means they can keep going longer and longer. But as will the process of heating your tyres up and cooling them down a lot also may kill them. Yeah. So we don't really know what's going to happen here. And it's a big unknown still about what's going to happen with the tyre wear on those soft tyres.
That's exactly that, because also Alonso was trying desperately to get past Norris. We could see that he was making the moves because he's got those soft tyres on, just clearly a lot quicker. But at the same time, in that attempt to get past Norris, he then lost a position to Ocon. Ocon took advantage, has now moved into 7th. Alonso has now dropped back down into 8th position. So, yeah, unfortunately, his attempt to take a position has resulted in him losing one.
Yes, as we're just looking at Fernando Alonso now, he's actually fallen back a position. Esteban Ocon managed to get ahead of him in the race restart.
That's what I just
Sorry,
said, yeah.
I wasn't listening. I was busy trying to
no problem. So, yeah, also noting that Lance Stroll's managed to make up 3 positions as well. This is exactly where he loses this position. He just loses out to Norris here, and Esteban Ocon comes on his inside and takes him out the race. Well, not quite takes him out the race, but certainly
takes that position
away from him. Just had a really poor exit there, did Alonso, when trying to take Norris.
Ooh.
And as a result,
Esteban Ocon had a brilliant exit. Ooh. Oh, it's because Fernando Alonso has a bit of an oversteer moment there. Disappointing for him, but I'm sure he will be able to return to that form a little bit later in the sprint race.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So the safety car is still out. It's going to stay out for another lap because they still need to recover that car. Although I think it might have been recovered already. It's quite quick here in Qatar. So they'll have one more lap around here. So in lap 6, we will get going again with the green flag, I'm sure.
Yes, we are now on lap 5 of 19 here for the sprint race. Hi, just saying Max out next, please.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Sainz saying we need to solve a misfire. There's an issue with this engine. So just being told by his engineer, copy it was a surge event and we are thinking of changing the settings in case, but it should be okay. I will let you know. That's not looking good for the Ferrari.
A surge event, basically meaning that the car basically overpowered itself by mistake, took on too much power and just resulted in some problems there for Sainz. The engineers say it might be fixed, so hoping that is true because the Ferraris currently stand a very good chance of getting onto the podium for this sprint race because
I don't think we can discount Piastri as of yet. George Russell, looking at the tyres that they're on, George Russell is on 7-lap-old soft tyres.
Leclerc's on 10.
I know. I was about to say, I was about to go through the whole grid. Hamilton's on 11-lap-old mediums down there. Piastri's on 6-lap-old mediums. Sainz is on 4-lap-old softs. I don't know how that works because we're on lap 5. But Piastri on the radio now. Just saying that, being told, we can see that the soft runners have some good grip now, but we know it will come to the medium runners in the end.
But that's why I say it's interesting to see, because these soft tyre runners need to make enough ground on the medium tyre runners before the end of the race. That's why I say Norris...
They need to stick with them, is what they really
Norris
need to do.
and Verstappen could certainly come back at them at the end of this race. They've lost positions now, and so has Piastri, but I think towards the end of the race, we'll see the opposite happen. Just watch that replay of Lance Stroll here. I think he sees Liam Lawson just
He
dive
just
out.
has that bit of an understeer snap and tries to correct it. And yeah, you can see there for Liam Lawson, unfortunately. Yeah, just understeer moments. Tries to overcorrect it. Does a spin. Beaches himself in the gravel. Unfortunate, but it happens here. That car now has been recovered, and hopefully the safety car will be in not this lap, the next lap.
So Logan Sargent, yet another race here. I mean, yes, it's only a sprint race, but yet another one that is out and is not able to participate further. I mean, again, you still have to put question marks over his position in Formula One, because he's really struggling out there.
He is really struggling, but I keep wanting to say CEO, but the race or team boss of Williams, James Bowles, is still very adamant on keeping him there at the team for next year. So they're still backing him, but I don't think they can afford to hold on to him for too much longer.
No, indeed not. And the safety car is going to stay another lap here, so only lap 7 will be get going probably. So not too many laps left, and those soft tire runners will be very much the happier of the lot, because they've not had to actually do too much racing on the soft so far, only under the restarts. And we've had one start race, then a restart. We're going to have another restart now. So the soft tires are going to really try and pounce upon those medium tire runners and see if they can take it to the end. As we do see, the safety car is now ending, and unfortunately, so is my time right now. I'm going to have to come back in a little bit, but Reece will take you through the rest of it. I'll be back in just a bit.
Just waiting for this to go back going. Muad, there's no green flag just yet, so we're just waiting for this to get back going again. I'm going to move into the middle of the screen now that Mark is gone. Yeah, it's been an interesting start to the sprint race. Max Verstappen not having a brilliant start to his race, but he was at least able to get that position back from Lando Norris. Verstappen had a 0.27 second reaction time. Norris had a 0.29 second. But just looking at this replay of the Ferraris, they were so quick off the line. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz were absolutely rapid. Still waiting for the green flag to be shown. We're waiting to see now as they come through the final sector if they are just going to back everyone up. I think they are now, as Piastri or Russell does start to back the entire grid up. We should see the restart coming very, very soon now. We do see now, as I said, George Russell backing up the pack as he gets ready to restart this race. We're waiting for him. He's backed them up very early, which is clever because you don't want... Oh, has he released just yet? Not just yet, but we're waiting for that release, and I see now he has released. He's going now, and the rest of the pack have been caught a little bit unaware. Oscar Piastri is quite far behind him. That's really not going to handle very well for Oscar Piastri. Carlos Sainz having a little bit of a look already at Oscar Piastri before he gets down the start-finish straight. You can only overtake once you have started your next lap, as Oscar Piastri is defending very hardly from Carlos Sainz. A lot of dust being kicked up. Will Oscar Piastri have the pace to hold on to second place here? But no, will they be able to hold on? He's going on the inside. Carlos Sainz stuck on the outside, and Oscar Piastri just is able to hold on to that position right now, waiting for his tyres to heat up a little bit more. Will he be able to keep ahead of the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz for the rest of this sprint race? Max Verstappen down in P5. He is slowly catching on Charles Leclerc. 3.3 seconds. 3.2 seconds is his gap to the leader right now. But we also cannot discount the wise old fox of Fernando Alonso down in P7. He's currently chasing down Lando Norris. Will he be able to take that position back? He was able to get the position back from Esteban Ocon. Will he be able to go and overtake Lando Norris yet again and be able to hold on to that position? Just watching the rest of this grid now, just forming a big line, not too much overtaking as of yet, but we're seeing Valtteri Bottas get ever so close off the back of Lewis Hamilton, or sorry, Lance Stroll is the one. Fernando Alonso, just watching a replay of him getting past Esteban Ocon, as George Russell is still being chased by Oscar Piastri. Carlos Sainz is also quite close to the back of him now. Will he make a move down into turn one? Just waiting to see. No, he doesn't. Not able to get close enough as of yet. George Russell setting the fastest lap of the race so far. Charles Leclerc starting to fall back on his teammates a little bit. Massive amounts of sparks coming off of his car. Max Verstappen closing in on him very quickly now on those medium tyres. I wonder how long those softs are going to last. Yeah, really interesting to see what is happening out here on the grid. Kevin Magnussen is down in 16th. It was his birthday this race weekend, but he is not having the greatest amount of luck. As I say, down in 16th position. We also have Zhou Guanyu down in 15th, currently fighting out with his teammate Valtteri Bottas, as George Russell once again sets another fastest lap of the session. Oscar Piastri, though, is going really quick through the first sector, so finally maybe these medium tyres are starting to come back towards him. We're going to have to wait and see what happens through the remainder of the sprint race. 11 laps to go, 8 laps done of the 19-lap sprint race. George Russell just pulling out ahead of Oscar Piastri. Max Verstappen getting quite close now to the back of Charles Leclerc. Half a second is that gap. Will he be able to make a move down into turn 1 as he's getting so close through the final sector of this racetrack? This racetrack, as they say in the Formula 1 commentary, is getting quicker and quicker by the lap. Because, of course, there is not much rubber down on the circuit. It's getting rubbered in every single lap that is getting put down on the circuit. And it's getting very close out here. Max Verstappen makes that move happen on Charles Leclerc for P4. Finally, Max Verstappen is starting to make that comeback that he needs to make happen if he wants to win the World Championship here in Qatar today. Oscar Piastri, though, sets the fastest lap time of the race with a 1:28.0. 1 second now behind George Russell. I think Russell is going to start sweating a little bit in that car. Maybe you might think it's raining, but it's sweat. He's going to be getting quite nervous with Oscar Piastri starting to reel him in. Don't forget to vote in that poll that we currently have running. Who will win the Formula 1 sprint race? Piastri with 24%, Lando Norris with 16%, Verstappen with 52%. At the moment, he's currently really having to fight it down if he wants to get that done. He's currently half a second behind Carlos Sainz. He may be able to make another move happen somewhere on the circuit. We'll have to wait and see what he's able to do. He's so close in the middle sector right now, but not able to make that move stick just yet. He'll have to wait for another sector where he can get just that ever bit closer, but he is right on top of Carlos Sainz at the moment through that final sector. You would certainly expect him to get onto that podium here today, and that final podium position is certainly within his grasp right now as he's chasing down Carlos Sainz through that final sector, approaching that start-finish straight. Will he get him down here now? Just waiting to see. It looks like these soft tyre runners are slowly starting to fall back. These tyres are slowly starting to get away from them as Max Verstappen comes down the start-finish straight. Does he get ahead of Carlos Sainz? Yes, he does. Well done, Max Verstappen. Yet another place made up here today. 10 laps to go of this race. Oscar Piastri on the radio being told soft runners are starting to struggle now. The race is going to come back to us as Max Verstappen takes the 3rd position in this race. Oscar Piastri slowly starting to reel in George Russell as his tyres start to degrade and fall off. Charles Leclerc now being put on pressure from behind from Lando Norris. Lando Norris also on a set of mediums. He has certainly chosen the better race tyre here for the sprint race today. He's really reeling in Charles Leclerc very quickly. 0.3 seconds is the gap between the two of them right now. Max Verstappen is going to be wanting to reel in Oscar Piastri as quickly as possible. 2.6 seconds is his gap to Piastri ahead of him. Piastri now is within a second, though, to George Russell. This race is all starting to come here in the final moments. It's getting really exciting. Do be sure to let me know what you think in the comment section. It is so exciting here. Watching now Lewis Hamilton get ahead of Esteban or Pierre Gasly there to take 11th position. Sergio Perez still stuck, though, down in P10, not able to make inroads on Nico Hülkenberg ahead of him. Piastri so close now behind George Russell. Will he be able to make a move as they come down the start-finish straight? He'll certainly be wanting to make a move here. Will he be able to make it stick as they come through the braking zone? Yes, he does. He gets ahead of George Russell. Well done, Oscar Piastri, the rookie, currently leading a Grand Prix race, or not a Grand Prix race, but a sprint race here in Qatar. George Russell has to concede that now that his tyres are starting to fall off, but Oscar Piastri has taken the lead of this race as Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris are fighting as Lando Norris goes over the outside of Charles Leclerc and takes that 5th position away from the Ferrari. There's a yellow flag, though, as Esteban Ocon and who is that? Sergio Perez. Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez crash. Esteban Ocon, Nico Hülkenberg and Sergio Perez all crash. They are all out of the race. Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez are in the gravel trap. This is going to be working absolutely perfectly for the likes of the Red Bull and the McLaren. broken wing for Nico Hulkenberg as he tries to make his way back into the pits. That will be his race over. Unfortunately, Sergio Perez looks absolutely livid as he's standing outside of his car, just waving his arms at Esteban Ocon. And, oh, sorry, is that Esteban? Yes, it is Esteban Ocon. Just really, really upset with them. Just trying to look at his car if it is damaged to the point where it's not able to get running again. I think it is, but he's out of his car, just standing there in the gravel track. He should make his way off of the circuit quite quickly. You would expect that those marshals will come and pull him off soon. Oh, that's why he's calling. It's because, oh my word, that is horrific. That is a big amount of work now for the Red Bull engineers to do before tomorrow. There is a massive gouge in the side pod of Sergio Perez's car. That is going to be a new engine possibly for tomorrow. Massive shunt between Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon, just waiting for this moment to be shown to us. But that is certainly a safety car, as we said right now, as we have a few drivers in the pits. We have Stroll and Magnussen in the pits at the moment. Just watching this moment, though, from Charles Leclerc, from Lando Norris getting past Charles Leclerc. And now watching what happened there. Esteban Ocon was trying to pass Nico Hulkenberg on the inside, and Sergio Perez was on the outside, and 3 into 1 corner just does not work. As, yeah, Ocon goes into Hulkenberg and then proceeds to take out Sergio Perez at the same time. Massive shunt with Hulkenberg getting sandwiched in the middle. Not a very pretty incident here, but glad to see that everyone is okay. We can see here how... Ooh, yeah, that is a big moment there. It's going to be a lot of work for the Red Bull engineers. Hopefully it's not an engine that is damaged. Hopefully it's just the radiators and the side pods. Otherwise, that's going to be a ton of work for them to do tomorrow. Nico Hulkenberg, he tries to go on the outside of Ocon, then switches to the inside. Then he has Perez onto his right, and he just has a driver on either side of him, and he gets absolutely sandwiched coming into turn 2. And unfortunately, that is all 3 of their races over today. As Chennai there says, poor Perez, insult to injury here today, as he really does need to return to his form to be able to prove that he deserves that Red Bull seat, as there's a lot of pressure on him at the moment. George Russell on the radio at the moment just saying that they need to come in and box, but I think it's a little bit too late already. Just being told there's no point if they stop, because I think it's not going to be possible to make your way through the grid fast enough. 12 laps have surpassed here in this race with 6 left to go. 19 laps in total, and we have done 8 so far in this race. Some Indy just asking, seems like Red Bull will be doing a switch position soon. Is Perez's career done? As Lindy also says, Perez was taken out, got caught up in a battle. Certainly, he was just trying to keep clean there and make the move on the inside. And unfortunately, Esteban Ocon caught and tagged Nico Hulkenberg in the middle and just took all 3 of them out. I like that moment, or that comment there from Leonardo saying a couple more crashes and Stroll might obtain a point. He's currently down in 13th place. He still has quite a few positions to make up if he wants to get a point here. You have to get up into, I think it's 8th place or 6th place, Mark? 8th place or 6th place for a point. I think it's 8th place here, as Mark does confirm. The car of Sergio Perez is still beached there in the gravel. They're still waiting to recover it. I think they're getting Ocon's car recovered first as he sits on the sidelines and watches his car that is currently in pieces being recovered there. Max Verstappen, this is certainly working into his hands here. And I think it's... Ooh, Max Verstappen already... it's been noted that there's some surface damage on his tyres. Verstappen just being told, come, let's get to the end. We need to get to the end. And, yeah... D-Way saying Verstappen is a 3-time world champion now. If he does finish the race in this current position, it is possible for him to take that world championship, but he needs to get to the end of the race, which is what his engineer Giampiero Lambiase was saying on the radio, just telling him, just get to the end. We need to get to the end here. It's still a long race ahead of us. We need to get to the end. As the safety car is still out on track, we're still waiting for that car, Sergio Perez, to be recovered from the track. And yeah, just looking at Max Verstappen at those title points right now, he is currently leading and winning the Drivers' Championship as of now. Max, not a raccoon saying a Max DNF would be interesting. It certainly would make things quite interesting. We'd possibly have 3 different constructors on the podium. We currently also still have 3 constructors on the podium. Looking at poor Nico Hülkenberg, he looks a little bit distraught there, quite upset. He got taken out, none of his own fault. And yeah, just disappointing as Ocon came across the outside, sandwiched him in between Perez and, in between Perez and Ocon. And he was very unfortunate and got taken out there. Safety car is still out on track. We're waiting for that to be released. But we just see how he tried to pull out at the last second, but he just was not able to. Just watching from, I think this is from Lewis Hamilton's perspective, watching from behind these 3, he's been quite fortunate to be able to have gotten away from that scot-free. But he's now picked up 3 positions. Lucky for Hamilton, he's up into P8 now, instead of down in P11. Yes, a lot of people joining us now and going, what is happening? 5 DNFs so far. It is currently Hülkenberg, Ocon, Perez, Sargent, and Lawson all out at the moment. Adventurous Nomad saying Perez's seat is confirmed for next year. There'll be no switch. Well, it is confirmed for next year, but look what happened in AlphaTauri this year. We had a driver change out halfway through the season, not even halfway through the season. The race before the summer break, we got Nick de Vries getting ousted from that team. Will we get that happening again as the safety car is now ending on this lap? We see Oscar Piastri now starting to back up the rest of the grid. This will work quite well for him now. He should be on the preferential tyre to George Russell. He will also have Max Verstappen possibly in the latter stages of the sprint race racing down at him to try and steal that point away from him. But will Oscar Piastri be able to stay calm-headed and be able to take this race win out here in Qatar? Lewis Hamilton down in P8 though, scoring some points. Good for him. His tyres are really old. The oldest out there of everyone with 20 laps on those set of mediums. Max Verstappen on a 13-lap-old set of mediums. Piastri on a 15-lap-old set of mediums. But Verstappen was told that there's some surface damage already. So definitely a bit of a concern for the Red Bulls for the race tomorrow. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. Maybe they're just going to have to run the hard tyre as much as possible tomorrow. We see George Russell really on the back of Oscar Piastri as Oscar Piastri starting to just weave a little bit. Max Verstappen tried to get going there as he thought. Piastri jumped. Now Piastri does jump. He gets away. He starts this lap. Once again, the sprint race is restarted for the third time now, as Oscar Piastri is once again leading from George Russell and Max Verstappen behind him. Max Verstappen will be wanting to get that move done on George Russell into turn 1. Will he be close enough though? He's not. He's going to have to look after these tyres now for the latter of the race. Charles Leclerc trying to get a move on Lando Norris down into turn 1. Will he make that work? No, he doesn't as of yet. They're getting very close into turn 1, but they keep it neat and tidy. Charles Leclerc able to get that move done on Lando Norris now, but the 2 Ferraris getting really close to each other. They're almost collided, but able to stay out of each other's way for now. But I'm sure Charles Leclerc will be on the radio screaming to get let ahead of Carlos Sainz very soon. But he might just have to make that move himself out on track. Max Verstappen now starting to put some pressure on the back of George Russell. That is the next place up the road for him, and then it is Oscar Piastri in the McLaren currently leading that race. George Russell is currently a second behind Oscar Piastri. Max Verstappen 0.6 seconds behind Russell right now. We're expecting Max to be able to get past George Russell relatively quickly. He should be able to get that move down on the start-finish straight, which he should be able to do very shortly. Lindy, we're saying, I hope Sergio Perez bounces back for tomorrow's race. Poor guy. The circumstances are beyond his control this time. It certainly was. Just watching this move from Charles Leclerc on Lando Norris, he got a brilliant slipstream down the start-finish straight at the restart of this race. Getting really close to him, positioning his car perfectly. He is on that older set of soft tyres, but still has the upper hand over Lando Norris at the moment. Lando Norris just getting boxed in by Carlos Sainz. Brilliant racing from Carlos Sainz to be able to allow his teammate to get that move done, as Max Verstappen moves his way into P2 now, getting past George Russell and making that move stick as he now moves his way up into P2. The next driver up the road is 2.5 seconds up the road. It is Oscar Piastri, currently leading his first race in Formula 1. Will he be able to take that win here today? 16 laps of 19 laps left. We have 3 laps remaining. As Mud says, Gasly, he's giving his support for him here. Gasly's all the way down in 8th at the moment. Not too bad from him as we rewatch that replay from Max Verstappen making that move on George Russell. It looked a little bit too easy for him. But of course, George Russell on really old sets of softs now. Lando Norris still stuck at the moment behind the 2 Ferraris. His car just does not have the same pace of his teammate right now. Max Verstappen, though, slowly reeling in Oscar Piastri, but I don't think it's going to be enough. It looks like maybe Lando Norris in the first stage of the race, having to use up that tyre so much, has possibly just used it up a little bit too much, and now he's not able to close that gap on Leclerc. He is being able to follow him quite closely. Maybe he will be able to take this position back before the end of the race. 0.3 seconds is currently that gap. We'll keep monitoring that and see if he's able to make that move down the start-finish straight. They're coming down there at the moment, and he does make that move stick once again on Charles Leclerc. Brilliant overtakes, and this bodes well for us tomorrow in the race. It's going to be very exciting. Lots of overtakes happening. We want to see this. 458 of you watching with us at the moment. Please do be sure to like the channel as Lando Norris tried to make a move on Carlos Sainz. He gets onto the dust there a little bit. Really following so closely though at the moment. Getting really competitive. Carlos Sainz on the inside line. Lando Norris overtakes him on the outside line now. Brilliant lap from Lando Norris. 2 positions in 1 lap. Phenomenal. Max Verstappen now 2.1 seconds behind Oscar Piastri. As Charles Leclerc is starting to put a lot of pressure on the back of his teammates, as the likes of Fernando Alonso, another medium tyre runner, or actually no, he's a soft tyre runner, but he is slowly starting to reel in these 2 Ferraris right now. 2 seconds is that gap from Piastri to Verstappen, but there's still another 2 laps to go. I don't think Max Verstappen has the pace to be able to take that lap away from him right now. Lewis Hamilton was able to take the position away from Pierre Gasly as Gasly had a massive big lockup into turn 8, and that position gets given to Lewis Hamilton there. Not a raccoon, just saying damn, as well as Silent Bob saying Murray would have said he muscled his way through there and made that position up. He certainly did there. Karen Bitter just saying go Max. Max Verstappen's currently setting the fastest lap out there, not listening to his team engineer or his race engineer Jean-Pierre Lambiase. As Charles Leclerc says, I think Carlos is struggling, pretty much being, well, saying, can I get ahead of him now, please? As Fernando Alonso gets overtaken now by Lewis Hamilton. 2 old rivals once again racing as Lewis Hamilton is getting so close now to the back of those 2 scrapping Ferraris. The 2 scrapping Ferraris are really starting to become to the detriment of themselves, as Lewis Hamilton is really eyeing up a move now on Charles Leclerc for that 6th position. Lewis Hamilton getting all over the back of Charles Leclerc right now. Leclerc bouncing all over the track. Will Lewis Hamilton make a lunge? Leclerc gets a lockup. Will Hamilton now get a better run into turn 13 and 14? He's trying to go around the outside. He's going around doing the switcheroo to the inside. Will he be able to make this move stick? It's so close between these 2 drivers right now. Hamilton really close behind him. Max Verstappen, I think, has decided, though, that is his race day over. He has conceded that 2nd position to Oscar Piastri. 2.1 seconds is that gap right now. Mark is coming to join us again. Let me just get that going. Yeah, there you are.
Yes, I hear all the action and I can't participate in it. We're in the light, literally going to the 2nd to last lap here. Piastri's leading the Grand Prix. Absolutely brilliant from him to come back at it. Verstappen's in 2nd, Russell 3rd, Norris now 4th. The Ferraris have dropped down again to where they started the race in 5th and 6th. Clearly the soft tyres struggling now as Leclerc's coming under pressure from Hamilton, who's going to make a move now with DRS on this main straight here. And we'll see now also a move being made from Russell and Norris as Norris gets past him and moves into 3rd position.
Lando Norris gets that final podium position away from George Russell. George Russell was hopeful that he was going to be able to hold on to that final position, as Hamilton, the other Mercedes, is fighting it out right now on the final lap with Carlos Sainz. It's getting so scrappy out here in the final few corners.
Tell you what's been very impressive from Hamilton to start in 12th. Is now currently in 6th and is fighting with Sainz in this last lap. He's already taken Leclerc now. Can he take Sainz before the end of this lap? But Oscar Piastri is on track to win his first ever sprint in the Grand Prix, in Formula 1.
Brilliant for him. I know it's not necessarily ruled as a race, but we're still really happy to see Oscar Piastri take his first race win yet. And I think
Hamilton's taken sides, sorry.
Hamilton takes sides, so it's a 4th and 5th for Mercedes right now. Brilliant from George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. Of course, Russell finishing where he qualified. As Oscar Piastri is coming through the final few corners now, Max Verstappen slowly closing that gap on him, but it's not going to be enough as Oscar Piastri now comes across the line and wins his first sprint race in Formula 1. Phenomenal for Oscar Piastri. Max Verstappen crosses the line and becomes world champion for the 3rd time in a row. Max Verstappen, drivers' champion. Once again in Formula 1. Phenomenal for Max Verstappen in such a dominant year for Red Bull.
Yeah, indeed. So it's been a brilliant race for McLaren, and I would say for Red Bull, of course, Perez is out, but they know that they've won now, not just the Constructors' Championship, but also the Drivers' Championship. Max Verstappen is 2023 FIA Formula 1 World Champion as a result.
And what a phenomenal sprint race that was. We were a little bit worried with the reduction of the radiuses into some of the corners with the revisions of the track limits because of all of the degradation around the circuit. But it looks like it still provided some really good racing for us today. Especially, we expected there to be some good racing off the back of 2021 when we first came here. And I think this year has just given us even more of a treat. In a 19-lap race, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this all fold out tomorrow.
I was about to say, the fact that we had 5 DNFs in just the sprint race today, imagine what's going to happen tomorrow in the main race. Tyre strategies are going to be huge for Qatar tomorrow. Tyre degradation is ridiculously high, and I think we're going to see at least 3, if not even 4 pit stops tomorrow for a lot of these drivers because this tyre is clearly not lasting at all. And I think also it's going to be very interesting to watch what happens with those Mercedes and those McLarens with regards to Red Bull.
Yes, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with them. As a lot of people there just giving their congratulations to Oscar Piastri as well as to Max Verstappen for winning the season. As Angie Manji just says, their amazing season from Max, well deserved, and congratulations. As the 2 McLarens take it home in formation here with Oscar Piastri having won the race. Lando Norris being a little bit outperformed by his teammates at the moment. Certainly not what we expected to have the season. But phenomenal from Piastri.
Sorry. Yeah. No, as a lot of the comments are saying, it's definitely watching a future world champion, I think, in Oscar Piastri, because he really is. I think it's showing you, and like everyone's always said, oh, Norris is the one, Norris is the one. I think we've seen now properly, Piastri is one hell of a driver for the future. Cannot wait to see what happens with him. And I really do like Piastri. He's a really, really nice guy. And certainly going to be a great person to watch for the next few years. And yeah, thank you so much for everybody joining us in the stream today. Great commentary, says a whole lot of people here. And Silent Bob saying, great show. Many thanks to you, Reece and Mark. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. I'm very sorry that I wasn't able to participate too much in today. I have to be driving across doing certain things the whole time. But Reece will do the review for you because I do, unfortunately, again, have to run off. But I just wanted to catch the end here as we do see Max Verstappen is going on to the leaderboard. It's quite upsetting for Oscar Piastri because his win is just being dumbed out a little bit here as Max Verstappen makes his way onto a very special stage as he gets announced as the world champion for 2023.
Yes, Max Verstappen puts his car up there on the LED boards with all of those graphics going around, and you can really see the amount of degradation on those tires on that car. And yeah, a lot of people saying goodbye. Thank you very much for joining us here today. Do be sure to join us tomorrow as well as Max Verstappen holds up 3 fingers to say that is championship number 3 on the belt for himself now.
Yeah, indeed. And now Red Bull are literally just racing for fun for the rest of this season because they've still got a few races to go, but there's nothing for them to achieve except for maybe a second place for Sergio Perez, but that's all down to him. The team itself, Drivers' Championships, under the belt, the Constructors' Championship, under the belt. There's nothing more for them to win.
P2.
P2's not in a winning spot. That's what I say. There's nothing more for them to win. Max Verstappen is elated, of course.
Gets a big hug from his partner there, Kelly Piquet, Nelson Piquet's daughter. And the only other Formula 1 driver to have ever won a championship in a sprint race. Max Verstappen becomes the second world champion to win a title in a sprint race. His father-in-law and him will be able to have a good chuckle about the fact that they are the only two that currently have that record. And we see the race winner, Oscar Piastri, getting congratulated by his team. Absolutely elated and over the moon for him as Mark is going to head out now. And I'm going to go into our Formula 1 review of the Grand Prix here.
Bye.
Mark just saying goodbye there. Yeah, very, very exciting to see what happens here today. It's going to be a very interesting race tomorrow. I think it's all going to be to fight for. We're going to have to wait and see, and you're all just going to have to join us for that session as well. Abdul just saying Albon took a point, P17 to P8. Phenomenal day for him. It was just so busy out there. We didn't even see that action there for Alex Albon today, unfortunately, but really happy for him nonetheless. As I quickly change my title here, and we will go into our sprint review. I'm just getting that already, and we should transition over in 3, 2, 1. And there you go. Now we're in the studio. Let me get rid of these headphones. We don't need those anymore. And I'm going to start recording for the Grand Prix sprint review. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Motorsports for the review of the Qatar Grand Prix sprint race. And what a sprint race that was. A very, very dramatic start to it. And just off the bat, 5 DNFs in that sprint race. We had Liam Lawson DNFing on the first lap there. He lost it, unfortunately, and went into the gravel trap, got caught out there, and unfortunately that was his sprint race over and done with. Then we had Logan Sargent have a pretty much copy and paste in the middle sector of Liam Lawson. He also just lost the car in the middle sector and just had a big snap of understeer, overcorrected, went into the gravel and was unable to get that car recovered from there. And then the other 3 that retired, they all took each other out, unfortunately. We had Esteban Ocon, Nico Hülkenberg, and Sergio Perez fighting for position into turn 2 after a safety car restart. And they all were coming into that corner, 3 abreast. Esteban Ocon on the outside, Kevin Magnussen in the middle, getting sandwiched in between Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon. Unfortunately, they all took each other out. The 2 drivers of Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez were unfortunately beached in the gravel. Nico Hülkenberg was able to make his way back into the pits, but his race was over, unfortunately, with a destroyed front wing. Yeah, not necessarily the greatest incident we would have wanted to see in the race, but nonetheless a very, very exciting sprint race this afternoon with a lot of jostling for positions. We had Lewis Hamilton fighting it up from P12 on the grid. He finished all the way up in P5. And to make our way through the order there, Oscar Piastri. It has been so crazy. We haven't even spoken about Oscar Piastri taking his maiden race win in Formula 1. Of course, it is a sprint race, but nonetheless, he takes a race win in Formula 1. Finally, we get the rookie taking that race win. Phenomenal from him, and certainly we are looking at a future world champion in the making. Piastri, P1 there today. Verstappen finishes in P2, and most importantly for Verstappen, he gets enough points here today to take the World Championship. So Max Verstappen is now crowned champion of the world for 2023 in Formula 1. Then third on the grid, finishing that race, was Piastri's teammate Lando Norris. So a double McLaren podium here in the sprint race in Qatar. Phenomenal for them. Hopefully that bodes well for them tomorrow in the race. They had some brilliant pace. Verstappen, though, was slowly starting to inch back on Piastri in the latter stages. Then we had George Russell finishing 4th. He had a great start to the race, taking that first position away from Oscar Piastri, but he did start on a set of softs. And then we had the likes of Piastri, Verstappen and Norris, and a couple of the other front runners starting on the mediums, which certainly was the better strategy here today in the sprint race, because those soft tyres really did start to fall off in the end, as we saw George Russell fall back into P4, his starting position. Hamilton then finished in P5, as I said. Brilliant race from him today. The 2 Ferraris were looking really rapid off the line. They were able to get away really quickly and actually take positions away from Max Verstappen and Lando Norris there. They were looking phenomenal. I think we'll have to look at them for tomorrow in the race. They're going to be able to do something, I think, quite special there. Possibly putting up some challenges for the top runners. Then Alex Albon finished in P8. Brilliant race from him. I think someone said he started in P17. Yes, he started in P17, finished up in P8. Phenomenal day for Alex Albon. Once again, having a great day, scoring 1 point. Fernando Alonso then finishing in P9. Gasly P10. Bottas in 11th. Tsunoda in 12th. Stroll in 13th. Another dismal day for him. Magnussen down in 14th. And Zhou, the final finisher here in the sprint race, finishing in 15th. What a race that was here today. We're watching Oscar Piastri get interviewed here now. He's looking quite happy with his first sprint race win. And I'm sure many of you guys are also agreeing with me at the fact that Oscar Piastri is surely looking to be a future world champion. in his rookie season, taking a race win, taking pole positions. Phenomenal for the rookie here. Max Verstappen, though, if we speak about that start for him today, it wasn't the best. We would expect him to have a bit of a better start. Lando Norris was able to get ahead of him, and then the both of them lost out to the Ferraris. But unfortunate for them, I think it was mostly due to the fact that they were starting on the mediums. The Ferraris were the outliers, as well as the Mercedes of George Russell starting on those softs. It made their life quite difficult in the first stints of the race, as well as with all of those safety cars that were brought out for those crashes and for the cars that were beached out there. Bit of a mixed up event here, but so many overtakes, and it was certainly very exciting for us fans, and it bodes well for the race tomorrow. So do be sure to join us for that there tomorrow afternoon when we do go racing out under the lights in Qatar. We are certainly really looking forward to it and looking forward to watching it alongside all of you. Thank you very much though for tuning in here to Forever Motorsport. Do be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to get more Formula 1 and motorsport content on your YouTube timelines. Thank you very much though for watching. I've been Reece here on Forever Motorsports. Cheers. Welcome to the Lusail International Circuit, home to the Qatar Grand Prix. The Lusail International Circuit is a renowned motorsport venue located in the desert landscape of the Lusail region. This state-of-the-art circuit is primarily known for hosting MotoGP events and made its debut on the Formula 1 calendar in 2021. The maiden edition of the Qatar Grand Prix was held on November 21st, 2021, substituting for the cancelled Australian Grand Prix that year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The race saw Lewis Hamilton emerge victorious for Mercedes, securing the top spot on the podium, followed by Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso's Alpine. The 5.4-kilometer Lusail circuit has been completely resurfaced since 2021, with a new pit and paddock complex. The circuit is fast and flowing with 16 medium and high-speed corners, as well as no heavy braking zones throughout the track. The main straight is more than 1 kilometer long, which should provide some great overtakes in the sprint race and in the race on Sunday. Watch now as you get taken around a lap of the Lusail International Circuit. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Formula 1 content, and do be sure to join us for our coverage of the Qatar Grand Prix. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports here on Forever Sports today, bringing you the main event of this race weekend, the Qatar Grand Prix. We have just heard the Qatari national anthem being played out here at the Circuit de Lusail. We're watching Charles Leclerc getting ready to get into his car. He's being sprayed down with a little bit of water to cool him down before we get underway. It is looking really quite warm out here, but will we get these drivers having another race like yesterday, where we had quite a lot of accidents? We had, of course, Oscar Piastri taking his first race win as well yesterday. Brilliant for him. We're watching on with him at the moment. He's looking quite calm and collected before the race gets underway. We're watching Pierre Gasly doing some reaction tests with his trainer there. Max Verstappen getting ready to get in the car. Max Verstappen, though, if you did not watch that sprint race yesterday, he took his third consecutive World Championship in the sprint race yesterday afternoon, and congratulations to Max Verstappen, of course. A phenomenal day for him out in Qatar. He'll certainly be very happy with the way that he performed yesterday. And yeah, we're going to wait and see what he's going to be able to do here today. Mark will join me shortly as we have 9 minutes and 33 seconds left to go until the start of this Grand Prix race out here in Qatar. Let me know in the comment section who you are supporting for the race today, as well as let us know who you are going to be rooting for, maybe to drop out of the race, or yeah, let's see what's going to happen here today. It's going to be quite exciting, but we'll have to wait and see what happens, as I say. Lots of people in the chat at the moment. Please do be sure to drop a like and let us know where you're watching from. Really exciting to know that we all have you guys following alongside with us. Unfortunately, we're not doing it on our normal channel today. We have decided to move it across here to try and get a few more of you guys across to our Motorsport dedicated channel on Forever Motorsport. I will drop a link to that channel a little bit later in the chat. Mark is actually going to join me now. As you see, his name tag is there, and he is coming into frame now.
Boom, look at that. I have arrived, and thank you so much, guys, for joining us today for this Qatar Grand Prix. The lights are flashing well above the whole circuit here, and we are so close to getting going here. And the breaking news, of course, as we have put in the chat, the breaking news that we've seen today is the fact that Carlos Sainz will not be participating in today's Grand Prix as a result of a fuel injection issue in his car. Massive news.
Yes, massive news that they are not going to be able to compete here today. Disappointing, of course, for the Ferraris. They looked like they had some good pace yesterday in the sprint race, and we were hoping to see that be brought here today. But unfortunate for Carlos Sainz, they were not able to fix that fuel line issue before the race started here this afternoon.
Well, great to see some of our regulars are joining us back on the alternative channel. Again, we are on Forever Sports today, not Forever Motorsports, just so we can try and get some of our old viewership back. Donnie here has joined us, though. Great to see you joining us here, and you found this stream, and I'm sure we'll see more of our regulars throughout as we're getting going here. So just to run through again our starting order for today, we will have Max Verstappen on the front of the grid, followed by Russell, followed by Hamilton, followed by Russell, followed by Hamilton, followed by Alonso, and Leclerc fifth, Piastri, of course, our sprint winner yesterday in 6th, Gasly 7th, Ocon 8th, Bottas in 9th, and Norris in 10th.
Have you gone through the bottom 10?
No,
I was busy eating my sweets. Sorry. To make our way through the bottom 10, we have Yuki Tsunoda in 11th. Carlos Sainz, of course, will not be starting the race. Alex Albon in 13th. Then Nico Hülkenberg in 14th. He had that horrible crash yesterday with Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon. Then we have Logan Sargent 15th, Stroll 16th, Liam Lawson in 17th, Kevin Magnussen in 18th, Zhou Guanyu in 19th, and it looks like we have a pit start for Perez with all that damage that the team had to replace and fix from yesterday's incident between himself, Nico Hülkenberg, and Esteban Ocon, where they all just sandwiched each other into turn 2 and took each other all out of the sprint race.
Yeah, that's exactly that. So Josh is also joining us here. Great to see you, saying, let's go, boys, from Cypress Hills, Saskatchewan in Canada. Looking forward to the amazing commentary, as always. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm glad that you found your way onto this channel. So we're getting very close to the start of this Grand Prix here. Let us know in the comments, who do you think is going to not finish the race? On top of this, we saw lots of DNFs in the sprint race yesterday. And, of course, the other breaking news...
We got 5 DNFs in the sprint race.
And the other breaking news, of course, for today's race, the fact that all the teams have to have a mandatory 3 stops.
What the actual... well, it is, of course, you have to do more than 3 stops here today, because the FIA and Pirelli have come out and said that you have a maximum amount of laps that you're allowed to do on a tyre here today. You're only allowed to do a maximum of 18 laps. And we saw on the car of Carlos Sainz yesterday, there was massive amounts of delamination on his front right tyre on his softs yesterday in the sprint race. So it's looking like there is issues for Pirelli this race weekend, and that is why they're introducing that maximum amount of laps that they're able to do on a tyre here this weekend. It's going to make it very interesting from a strategy point of view. Yep. Everyone's pretty much going to have to come in and box on the same amount of laps. Some people are on older tyres, some people are on newer tyres. It's going to be very interesting out here today, and I think it's going to be a very different race that we have this evening.
Exactly that. And also I just want to just note the fact that this weekend it looks like Pirelli is going to be announced as the tyre partner until 2027. So a really, really bad weekend to announce that as well. As we do have Old Man Roo watching here from Australia. Love your channel. Like and subscribe. Thank you so much. And Alex Mianja joining us as well. Great to see. And of course, also looking at Noel Pulskita's comment saying Max all the way. So great to see that, of course, as well. And yeah, guys, we're also thinking about the fact that, we saw those 5 DNFs yesterday. And the fact that we've got that new pit stop regulations, of course, for the maximum number of tires. Do you think
specifically, before we confuse everyone, it's specifically for this race.
Yeah.
They've seen, Pirelli have seen high amounts of degradation around the circuit due to the layout of the circuit, new track surface here. It seems to be eating away at the tires more than they expected. They've got some of the harder compounds here this race weekend. We think they could have gone maybe a step harder, but they've now had to bring in these maximum amounts of laps that you're allowed to do on a tire, and it's going to make the race, I don't know, it might ruin it a little bit, but it might make it quite interesting at the same time.
What I was going to say is the fact that because we've got a maximum number of laps of being 18 for this Grand Prix, I'm not sure we're going to see any hard tires being used. I think we'll go softs and mediums only, because
those are the faster race tires.
Those are the faster race tires, and if you can have a maximum number of laps, if the soft tire can last 18 laps, then you're not going to bother with the hard tire, are you?
The issue, though, is, Mark, that not a lot of drivers have new sets of softs or mediums. The majority only have one of each, so they might have to go on a set of softs or hards near the end of the race.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So round 18 here in Qatar. The track distance here is 5.4 kilometers. There are 57 laps needed in this race, and the race lap record is 1 minute 23. The top speed, 322 kilometers. There are 16 turns and only an elevation of just 4 meters.
Yes, and as we spoke about this race weekend, we have some of the harder compounds on the Pirelli range. The C3, the C2, and the C1 compounds. It goes from C5 to C0, and we have the C3, 2, and 1 this race weekend. Watching some great moves from 2021 with Sebastian Vettel getting an overtake on Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren at the time. We're hoping to see some great overtakes here this race today. It was certainly very exciting yesterday in the sprint race, and we're hoping there could be a repeat of that here today. There certainly should be, as it was really, really exciting and quite a lot of overtakes, as I say.
Exactly that, and I think just looking at the possible overtake points of the track, turns 1, of course, and turns 6 and 7 are being identified as some of the major points that we'll see some overtakes happening in today's race. Now, Max Verstappen is starting on pole, so he will surely motor off into the lead, and I think it's going to be a race, rather, for second place. Now, we do know that the Mercedes-engined cars have been performing quite well this weekend. Russell and Hamilton in second and third, followed by Alonso in fourth. Charles Leclerc is the only Ferrari in fifth. But let's go through our starting grid here. Sergio Perez is starting in 20th position from a pit lane start. Joe Guan Yu in 19th. Kevin Magnussen in 18th. Liam Lawson down in 17th as well. His last race possibly for this Formula 1 season. Lance Stroll down at 16th. Of course, we know all the drama that happened with that. Logan Sargent in 15th. Nico Hulkenberg, he's starting in 14th. Next to Alexander Albon. Can he get into the points today? In 13th position. Then, of course, Sainz is not going to start the race. So it'll be an open spot in that 12th position. And Yuki Tsunoda will start in 11th.
Lando Norris then not having the greatest qualifying session on Friday when the qualifying grid was of course set. He's down in 10th with Valtteri Bottas alongside him. Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly, the two teammates, find themselves alongside each other in 7th and 8th. Oscar Piastri in 6th. He should have a great race today. He had great pace yesterday in the sprint race. Then next to him is Charles Leclerc in 5th. Fernando Alonso is down in 4th. Then Lewis Hamilton in 3rd. He's got a great possibility here today, as well as does George Russell in 2nd. And then, of course, the new world champion for 2023, Max Verstappen, starts the race from pole.
Yes, I just wanted to go back to your comment about Norris's
missed opportunity on Friday.
I think Friday, don't forget, he obviously had his lap time deleted.
Yes.
He was originally second, but then had his lap time deleted. So he's going to be starting all the way down in 10th. Of course, his teammates up in 6th, who won the sprint race yesterday. All eyes will be on him to see what he can do today. Can he follow it up with an even better performance? Fernando Alonso starting quite high up the grid as well for Aston Martin in 4th position. What can he do today? Can he possibly get a podium and challenge the likes of the Mercedes?
He had great pace yesterday in the sprint race, so I'm certainly hoping he's going to be able to do something from a better grid position here at the start of the race. Lewis Hamilton putting on his gloves now. He's certainly getting ramped up for the start of this race. All of the tyre blankets starting to be removed from all of these cars, watching under the visor of George Russell. He had a brilliant start yesterday in the sprint race. Could he be able to replicate that here today?
Yeah, indeed. And Max Verstappen is wearing his World Championship helmet. Of course, a very special edition helmet for today's race as a result of him being named World Champion. And Alex, they're just making a note there that's saying Heinz Howard Francis was the best driver in my lifetime that never wanted to wear a championship helmet. So interesting there, of course. We've got so many people joining us in the comments. Hello to all of you. A mean mom said hello, guys. And go Russell Radars here in the comments saying again, hello, guys. Great to see. Josh saying Alonso for the win, a hot take. Well, that
I
should
think
be
we'd
interesting.
all love that here today. I'd certainly love to see Fernando Alonso take his 33rd win in Formula 1. It's going to be difficult. There are some really fast drivers ahead of them, as now Max Verstappen and the two Mercedes leave their grid boxes for the start of the session. I'm going to get rid of that countdown text as we are now live. And yeah, not long to go. Everyone's starting their formation lap now. Let's see what is going to happen during this race.
Yeah, so they're currently out on their formation laps. Max Verstappen lead them all out, followed by all the Mercedes engine cars. Again, one more time to note, Carlos Sainz is not taking part in today's race, so that 12th position on the grid will be left vacant for what should have been his Ferrari. And again, a maximum of 18 laps per set of new tyres will be allowed in this Grand Prix. Now, again, also, some of these sets of tyres aren't actually brand new, so they're going to have to go into used tyres, and those have already got laps behind them, so that'll still have a maximum of 18 with, already starting with 6 or 7 laps on them. So you could possibly see 4 pit stops today. I mean, it could be all over the place. A very, very interesting Grand Prix in store for us. Could it ruin it? Well, we have to wait and see here. Of course, lots of cars being bunched up there on that second little straight in Sector 1 as they're just trying to warm up the tyres and just being held up a lot. It's almost stopping on track, but very interesting to see that there. So let's see who can get the best start here. We saw how brilliantly the Ferrari started yesterday at the beginning of the sprint race yesterday. But of course, Leclerc down in 5th. I'm not sure he's going to get as good a start. And also, they were on softs versus those medium tyre runners. I think the different tyres are going to be a huge factor today. And the choices of those, because of the degradation and the new stringent limits, is also going to make some very interesting watching.
But it looks like a lot of people have decided to start the race
On softs?
on soft, but Hamilton's saying, I'm a sitting duck to all of these guys. I think he's starting on really old ones.
I don't know.
I'm going to look at our tyre allocations here. I think
Medium tyres I'm seeing on Max Verstappen, sorry, so maybe he's the only one on softs and everyone else is on medium tyres. So maybe they've made a wrong call as Max Verstappen comes around to the final corner to line up on the start-finish grid. The sold-out weekend attendance here of 120,000 here in Qatar.
just looking at our allocations here, it's quite small, so it's difficult for me to see. But pretty much everyone on the grid had one set of new tyres left, with I think Lewis Hamilton being the only one that did not have a new set of mediums, which is why he's starting on a set of softs here today. It should be quite helpful for him in the first stage of the race, as we only have 4 drivers starting this race on a set of softs. We have Lewis Hamilton in 3rd, starting on a brand new set of softs. Max Verstappen, he's starting on a set of 3-lap-old mediums. Russell on a set of 7-lap-old mediums already.
Yes, Hamilton's starting on brand new softs, as you say, so that's maybe an interesting one. Alonso's on 5-lap-old mediums. Leclerc's on 8-lap-old mediums. So it's going to be such a weird race here because
everyone you have to pit once those tires get to 18 laps old. So it doesn't matter if you started them with 5 laps on. That means you can only do 13 laps on those tires. Just watching now as the drivers all make their way to that grid. It's getting really, really close now to the start of this race out here in Qatar. Getting really, really exciting.
Yes.
Let's quickly, before this gets underway, who is going to be your top 3, Mark?
Top 3.
Quickly.
Verstappen, Alonso, Hamilton.
I'm going to say Verstappen, Hamilton, Alonso. As now we do start getting lights going out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. Out and away we go. Good start for Max Verstappen as well as Lewis Hamilton getting ahead of his teammates already. Those 2 teammates starting to catch up to Max Verstappen very, very quickly, but he places his car perfectly. Lewis Hamilton gets taken out by his teammate, Lewis Hamilton. They both out of the race. That is horrific from the 2 Mercedes. George Russell carries on, but Lewis Hamilton will be out of the race. He has no rear tyre on that car. The 2 Mercedes taking each other out into the first corner. That has allowed Piastri to make himself up into P2. Watching another little bit of a scrap between Alfa Romeo, one of the houses there. Will they touch? Yes, they do a little bit there now. As Fernando Alonso finds himself in the podium positions, what will happen as we see a bit of a twitch there from Alex Albon and Logan Sargent currently following each other. What a scrappy first few corners of this lap. Big lockup from one of the Alfa Romeos in the back. Yellow flag in sector 1 for Lewis Hamilton. George Russell saying, I've got damage. Well, what do you expect when you turn into your teammate?
Just also noting, Perez has also dropped right to the back of the grid.
He's down from the pit lane.
Yeah, indeed. So he's currently trying to catch up to Russell, who's now in 17th as a result of that clash. Safety car
has been called, as you say, Mark. Disappointing for Lewis Hamilton. That is his race over the previous race winner around here in Qatar. his day is finally open. Not open.
We've just finally seen it. Teammates taking each other out. I mean, yes, they're both not out of the Grand Prix. Russell has to get points now because
Hamilton is going to be
out.
livid. He does not like getting taken out of races by his own teammates. That is horrific. That car is completely destroyed. There was no way he was going to make it. Well, the rear tire is completely destroyed is what I mean.
My word. I mean, that is unbelievable. Unbelievable first lap here in Qatar. Lap 1 of 57 where they can only use 18 lap tires, or tires for 18 laps in total. And Hamilton was saying he's a sitting duck. Well, he is now a sitting duck, literally stranded in the gravel as a result of his teammate hitting him. His back rear tire burst straight off the car. And he is out of this race. Safety car has been called, and they're going to have to recover the Mercedes there from the
That is going to be a very awkward debrief in the Mercedes garage after this race. Lewis Hamilton out of the race. George Russell all the way at the back of the grid. Lewis Hamilton's just standing in the gravel trap. I think he's waiting for George Russell to come around on track so he can throw him a few choice hand signals, maybe.
Yeah.
As George Russell
maybe
now
wave
does.
to him. I would wave if I was Hamilton.
I think it's a special kind of wave that he's going to be getting.
Nah, the TV cameras are there. I think he might just go, thanks, mate. You can carry on the race now as a result of taking me out. As you see, a very, very slow pit stop for Mercedes as
They're
well.
busy looking at the damage that he has on his car, deciding if it's worth keeping him out. They do send him back out again. Safety car is still out there on track. Wayanda saying, man, Russell is such a bore. Certainly not the best opening lap for him. Let's just watch a race replay here of the start. George Russell gets a good start, but Hamilton gets a better start. He rarely covers off George Russell. He moves to the outside. George Russell starts to try and fend him off. Lewis Hamilton goes round the outside. I think it was just a racing incident, to be honest.
I don't back Russell as being the problem because Russell couldn't go anywhere. He had a car on his outside. He's carried a car on his inside. Russell can't do anything about this. Hamilton squeezes Russell too hard. And Hamilton almost pretty much takes himself out the race. Just watching here, Russell follows in Max Verstappen, goes on the inside of him, literally can't go anywhere.
That's Hamilton's fault, unfortunately. That is completely Hamilton's fault. George Russell had no space to his inside because Max Verstappen was there. Yeah, disappointing. Leonardo asking if Sainz not racing. Unfortunately, he's not able today because he has a fuel line issue that the Ferrari's mechanics were not able to resolve before the start of this race. Just watching now from Lewis Hamilton's point of view, it's so difficult because it's on his inside, in his blind spot. It's a racing incident, a first lap incident, as Hamilton says. He's been asked if he's okay, but then he says, yeah, I got taken up by my own teammates. Unfortunately, Lewis, I think that was your fault today.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it is very much Lewis Hamilton's problem. He pretty much took him outside the race. This is the best angle for it. Just watching here, Russell pushes him wide a little bit, and he can't go anywhere, can Russell? And Lewis Hamilton just cuts in too much and comes in on his teammate there. He needed to stick out a little bit wider than Lewis Hamilton, but he chose to try and come in a little bit too soon, and as a result, connected with his teammate, and his back rear tire immediately pretty much swung straight off the car.
See, just watching that replay there, Lewis Hamilton had a lot of space to the outside still. He still had maybe about 2 meters to the outside, so he could have... Well, he wanted to take that outside line. He needed to just maybe give himself another half a meter to not collide with his teammate.
Yeah, so we said how many DNFs will we have today? Well, we've already got one. Lewis Hamilton
the first lap.
And Sainz, of course, didn't even start. It's a DNS. We've got a DNS in Carlos Sainz. We've got a DNF in Lewis Hamilton. And let's see if anybody else can last. I think Russell might actually have some more damage that we might not know about. Just watching Oscar Piastri start as he moves into second.
He did really, really well at the start here. Getting past Charles Leclerc on the inside, then getting past Fernando Alonso. Really, really good tire or car placement. And yeah.
So I said, what's going to happen with Oscar Piastri? You're starting down in 6th. He's all the way up into 2nd already. So brilliant start for him as a result. Alonso got held up behind that crash there. So unfortunately, he's only in 3rd. Leclerc's now in 4th. Norris is up to 6th now as well from 10th position. So the McLaren starting very, very well here and taking advantage of that situation. Piastri now possibly going to get a 2nd podium in 2 days.
Well, I think he'd certainly be hoping for that, but we'll have to wait and see what happens throughout the rest of this race. It's still a very long race ahead of us, Mark.
Yeah, it's a lot of time left, of course. Maximum of 2 hours, because I think it might well come down to timing, because
there may be a few safety cars here this afternoon.
So, stewards have noted they're going to be investigating the incident between Hamilton and Russell. For involving cars 44 Hamilton for crossing the track. So it means that Hamilton walked across the track.
Oh gosh, so he's going to get into trouble not for the incident, but for going across the track when you're not meant to, because it is a live circuit.
Yeah, so that's That's going to be a bit of an awkward one there for Hamilton if he should get a fine. I imagine something like that.
Yeah, it will most likely just be a fine.
So still under safety car conditions here in lap 3 as he's now on a Vespa making his way back to the pits. And he does now get across here and says, no, take me back to the pit lane. He says, I can't go in there. No, he's just having some chats with the driver.
He's having a chat with the scooter because he's asking the rider to take him all the way back to the pits.
And now he doesn't know what
they're
he's
going
doing.
around in circles at this point. And now the Turn 1 incident involving Hamilton and Russell will be investigated after the race for causing a collision. I do believe that will just be deemed a racing incident.
Yeah, indeed. There's nothing really that's going to come from that as a result of them being teammates. So still on safety car here in lap 4. But you know what the thing is those who started on even fresher tires, we see some people diving off into the pits already. So
you may as well, I think, because you're going to have to come into the pits in a couple laps anyway. And you may as well come and benefit from the safety car and do it now.
Yeah, so those older tires have come in, I think. So Stroll is in, Bottas, Magnussen, Lawson. Those are the 4 as Stroll's right on the back of Bottas there, I think it is. No, he's actually on the right on the back of Magnussen. There's a shocking comment there that I've just seen.
We definitely can't read that up.
Safety car is ending, so those who have just come out of the pits, they need to try and catch up to the grid. It should be relatively easy for them to do so. Wouldn't they benefit from it? Who knows?
Yes,
I think we will have lots of safety
They will
cars.
benefit from it because they've essentially gotten a free stop over everyone else. Everyone still has a mandatory 3 more stops to do. They now only have 2.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So guys, be sure to like the stream right now and subscribe to the original channel and this channel if you really wish.
George Russell said sorry on the radio. Now he's backtracking on those comments.
Maybe he's...
No, because he says, I just got sandwiched.
Yeah, well, he's not wrong, actually.
No.
He's not wrong at all. He couldn't do
George
anything.
is being shouted at now by Toto. Toto Wolff has just come on the radio and told him, come now, George, calm down. Let's go racing. It's happened, I guess. Get over it and just get back on with your day.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. So, yeah, not a raccoon just saying apparently
Ooh,
Nico...
Oscar Piastri's brakes are... Sorry, Mark. Oscar Piastri's brakes are really smoking away. It might have possibly been just as... Look, no, they are still smoking away. There's something wrong with Oscar Piastri's front right brake.
I'm not sure if it's necessarily something's wrong, but yeah.
It might just be some dust on the track as well. I'm hoping it's some dust.
So Max Verstappen's now holding everybody up as we do have the safety car ending. When does he choose to release? He's going very, very slowly. Piastri's ready to pounce as is Alonso right in the back.
And he does. Now he does.
Oh my word,
Fernando
Piastri
Alonso
was
gets a
shocking.
much better start than Oscar Piastri. But will Piastri be able to hold out on Fernando Alonso? He's eking out a little bit ahead of him now as they come through that final sector. They come through the final corner now, start the stop in a straight, and then they will be able to have another overtake on each other.
Max Verstappen certainly caught Oscar Piastri unawares there. Oscar Piastri
Already a
could not.
second ahead
I
of
was
him.
about to say, Max Verstappen really took off and Oscar Piastri was a little bit late to that. So unfortunately, Piastri's fallen off a bit too much. Alonso those in third. Leclerc in fourth. Now we have racing underway again in lap 5. Again, Hamilton and Sainz are the 2 cars not participating. As we see now, I think that is Magnussen trying to overtake.
Trying to go on, that's Yuki Tsunoda trying to go on the inside of one of the Alpines. Does he make that move stick? No, he does not. He's stuck behind them now as Nico Hülkenberg gets past Alex Albon there.
Yeah, indeed. So some very, very, very good racing here that we're seeing here in Qatar. And again, look at this. All trying to overtake each other on the straights here. Just having a look.
Oh! Sergio Perez really pushing on George Russell right to the edge of the track. He's not wanting to give up that position. He is on a set of hard tires. George Russell on a set of mediums. Really, really dirty move, I think, though, to push him all the way to the inside of the track.
Yeah, I was about to say some very interesting racing happening right now out on track. Just looking at the tire age again, you see, because we have to note this because maximum 18-lap-old tires are allowed in this race. So looking at the tire allocations, Piastri's on 10-lap-old tires. We're seeing 12-lap-old tires for Leclerc already. So he's going to have to come into the pits in the next 6 laps. So it's going to be such a weird thing to look at throughout the entire Grand Prix.
It is going to be a very interesting thing, as well as if you do not respect those rules that Pirelli have set for this race weekend because of all the issues that we're having with the Pirelli tires, you will be black flagged.
Yeah,
if you
exactly
go
that.
over 18 laps on a set of tires, you will be black flagged and disqualified from the race for safety issues.
Yeah, so, I mean, bizarre one. Absolutely bizarre one. But now continuing here, Josh is saying, beer is cold, fire is going, excitement is top shelf, what a start.
Certainly sounds like a great setup that you have there, Josh. Watching now a bit of a fight happening between Nico Hülkenberg and Yuki Tsunoda. Nico Hülkenberg goes round the outside of Yuki Tsunoda. Outside, yes. As he tries to make the move that Lewis Hamilton did on his teammate. He makes it stick, though. Yuki Tsunoda now loses out on that position. Currently, our top three is Verstappen, Piastri, and Alonso. Piastri is closing the gap to Max Verstappen.
Yeah, so Piastri's now trying to get close. Now watching here, Russell and Perez battling it out as Russell goes on his outside. He's taken Perez
Does
as
he
well.
make the move stick,
Yes,
though,
he
as they
does.
come through this next sector? He does make that move stick, as you say there, Mark. Just watching who's setting the fastest lap times out there on circuit. Max Verstappen has the fastest lap, but Fernando Alonso has the fastest first sector.
Yeah, but also Piastri's got the second fastest lap that's been put in today at 1:30.4 versus Verstappen's 1:30.2. So not too far away as Piastri there. Just watching that replay of George Russell make that overtake. Again, it's in just turn 6 and 7, which we said was a potential overtaking point in this race. So great work there from Russell to get past Sergio Perez and move himself into 13th. Of course, he did start all the way up in second, but as a result of a clash with his teammate, yeah, we saw what happened there. Nico Hülkenberg's got a penalty for not going into his pit box there. So Nico Hülkenberg will receive a 10-second penalty for not correctly aligning himself at the grid
He
position.
puts himself in Carlos Sainz's pit box, unfortunately, so he does get a penalty for that. Max Verstappen sets the fastest lap time of the race, and then Oscar Piastri steals that away from him. Piastri, 1.1 seconds behind Verstappen at the moment. Lots of time management going on at the moment. That is what we're hearing. Max Verstappen currently doing 7 laps. He still has another 10 laps on that tyre.
Yeah, so somebody just saying there in the comments, it's the 6 pit stop strategy at this point, a 6-stop strategy. So we'll see if that actually
You
does
never
happen.
know what happens. We may get multiple more incidents, and then you may as well do 6 stops.
I do think 4 stops are very much on the cards for most of the drivers. So we'll see if that certainly will actually happen for the remainder of this race. We're in lap 7 here. Everyone's battling it out now, just starting to form the proper race line, pretty much. And let's see if anybody can get themselves out. Stroll's down in 17th still. Perez and Russell, of course, they had that little spat. Russell's now gone past him. Russell needs to try and now get past Zhou and then the 2 Williams drivers to get himself inside the points.
It's going to be a very difficult drive for him today. As I said, of course, he did start from P2, if I'm not correct, and now he's all the way down in P13. Not lucky at all. Ooh, big moment from Fernando Alonso. Lucky to keep himself racing, but he's lost a second by a big snap of oversteer as he came through one of the corners. He's losing time to the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc behind him. Lost at least a second from that little incident there.
Yeah, indeed. So now Piastri's 1.6 seconds behind Verstappen, whereas Alonso's 2.1 seconds behind Piastri. Leclerc almost a second under to Alonso as he does now break into that second barrier. Verstappen now puts in the new fastest lap again, and he now moves himself to the 129s, as does Piastri, but Piastri a whole half a second slower that lap.
Ooh, Alex Albon tries to make a move on Oscar Piastri, but who am I talking about? Yuki Tsunoda. But Yuki Tsunoda moves in the braking zone. I don't know if he'll get a penalty for that because you're not allowed to make a move at the last second like that. The Williams supposedly running very low because it looks like they're sparking a lot more than we'd expect them to. Sergio Perez on the set of hards. Ooh, bit of a move here from Lance Stroll on Kevin Magnussen. Does he make the move stick? Yes, he does now as they come through turn 3. Lance Stroll really fighting it out there for 16th place. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Lance Stroll, unfortunately, all the way at the back of the grid as per usual. Russell now makes that move on Zhou. He moves into 12th, and he's now got the 2 Williams drivers ahead of him. Piastri's now got the fastest first sector to his name, so that's this current lap that he's finishing up here. Let's see if he can improve upon it and get even closer to Max Verstappen. He's built a nice gap to Alonso. Norris is chasing down Ocon, but he's got Gasly just behind him. Watching that replay of Russell
Getting
Zhou,
past Zhou now finally as he does move himself up into the 11th position. Josh Gilson asking, is it just me or is Oscar Piastri upstaged Lando in the last few races?
He has.
He really has. I believe he has. I think Lando Norris is getting a little bit frustrated in that McLaren team that he's being, just not being able to match what his teammates doing here.
No, not at all. So, and I also think that Lando Norris has noted that, and he literally has said in the radio, we saw those radio messages saying, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You're so stupid. This. So, it's very harsh on himself as Norris a lot of the time. And, again...
George Russell now makes his way past Logan Sargent. He's up into 11th position now, slowly starting to take those positions away. The next driver up the road is Alex Albon, who's just been overtaken by Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah. So, Alex Albon, the last one in the points right now. Russell trying to get that points position. And we're just seeing here as well, I think this is Albon and Tsunoda. Albon struggling to get past Tsunoda. He's within DRS range to him.
Tsunoda's just gotten past Albon, so he's dropping back a little bit. He won't be wanting to do that too long. But all of these drivers now, it is the 9th lap, and some of the top runners are going to have to come into the pits quite soon because of those stipulated 3-stop strategies here today. With the high degradation that we've seen on these Pirelli tires, they have now introduced a rule that you're only allowed to do 18 laps on a tire, then you have to come into the pits. If you don't, you will be disqualified from the race.
So we know that Leclerc has to make his way to the pits very soon. He was on one of the older sets of tires out on the grid right now. He needs to come into the pits very, very soon. And yeah, guys, let us know in the comments what you've made of that start to the race. And what are your comments about Russell and Hamilton's little coming together in turn 1? Also, guys, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Please be sure to hit that like button. We'll get up to 50 likes in 2 seconds if all of you go and do it. Thank you so much for that. Lap 10, of course, now. Yuki Tsunoda and Albon still battling it out for 9th, and Russell is right on their tail, as well as Perez is also trying to take Zhou now. And Russell now moves into 10th as Tsunoda's gone into the pits.
Yes, Tsunoda now in the pits for the first time for his race, as Perez is trying to overtake the Alfa Romeo of Zhou now, as he tries to get around the outside, switches back to the inside. He's going to try and make the move that he lost the race in yesterday, but he just backs out of that move now and falls a little bit further behind Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, Leclerc going to have to come into the pits this lap as he's on 17-lap old tyres as Leclerc. Also looking at other drivers, Russell has to come into the pits very, very soon as well. So after making up these positions, he's going to have to make his way back to the pits very shortly. Again, Piastri's on 15-lap old tyres. Verstappen on 12-lap old tyres, Alonso 14, Norris, Gasly and Hulkenberg on 16-lap old tyres. We're going to have a lot of pit stops in the next couple of laps.
Not a raccoon, just commenting on Muad's asking what happened there, saying that Russell took Hamilton out. That's not necessarily true. Hamilton took himself out. He didn't give himself enough space and managed to collide into Russell on the opening lap in the first corner.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Sergio Perez still chasing Zhou here for 12th position. He tried to make a move in the previous lap, but was too far away. I think he might be a little bit closer this time around, so we'll probably see him get past him. Perez is on hard tyres. Zhou, I think, is only on the mediums. Yeah, indeed, it is true. So, currently, the only 2 sets of hard tyres out on track. Otherwise, everyone's got the medium tyre on. Lawson and Perez on those hard tyres.
Esteban Ocon comes in for his first pit stop of the day. As you said, though, Mark, what is the point in coming in on a set of hards here today? Because you have to box every couple of laps anyway, so you may as well just go on the softs or mediums and, yeah, just not have that risk of being slower on the hards.
It's exactly that, not conceding pace. So Ocon has come into the pits and he's coming out. I think he should come out ahead of Tsunoda, potentially just behind Tsunoda. I think ahead of Tsunoda. He does come out ahead of Tsunoda. So Ocon comes out in 17th position, but we will definitely see Leclerc come into the pits this very lap, and Alonso probably in the following lap. Everybody's going to go to that 18-lap mark, I'm sure, because they probably can make these tyres last, and they don't want to afford to have too many pit stops. So they want to make sure that they do get the most out of their laps, out of their tyres in terms of lap times. Guys, we are so close to 50 likes. Please, again, smash that like button, and we'll get over it relatively easily. So, lap 11 here in this race. Verstappen got the fastest lap to his name. Piastri is about almost 3 seconds behind him now, as we are going to see some drivers heading to the pits. Let's see who's heading to the pits this lap now. I think we are seeing Alonso into the pits. So
first of the top runners to get into the pits here today.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So let's see how he fares and where he comes out. Hopefully it's a good pit stop for him. Leclerc now moves into 3rd as a result. Alonso, let's see how quick his pit stop is. There's a few others that are going to be joining him. I think Gasly now joining him in the pits as well. Indeed, Gasly's now into the pit lane as well. He's also one of the more front runners. He's in 7th position. Alonso was 3rd before he came to the pits. Where is he going to exit? Probably near the back there. A relatively decent pit stop, 2.3 seconds there. Very good from Aston Martin. Gasly a 2.5 second pit stop for him. So he will come out. Alonso in 15th, Gasly in 16th.
Yes, Wyander saying it's definitely Hamilton's fault, but life goes on. It won't mean much even 2 weeks from now. Yeah, it's something that happens. Unfortunately, it was a racing incident in the first lap. And now we have, I think that was Leclerc being told to box by the Ferrari mechanics, as well as Piastri is now being told by McLaren.
Yeah, so we've got the boxes coming in for many of the drivers who are on those older tyres. Russell's going to need to make his way to the pits as well, as he's now moving to 6th as a result of all these other pit stops, but he needs to himself get into the pits as well. So where will he come out? That's going to be very interesting to watch as well. Alonso, currently the highest front runner that's gone into the pits. He's come out in 15th position, so that's more or less a marker. As to
This
everybody
could actually come and hurt Oscar Piastri here today, because I'm hearing that the undercut could be powerful enough to gain you 2 seconds, which would allow him to close in on Piastri, who's about to come into the pits. He is in the pits now, as is Charles Leclerc. Lando Norris, is he going to overtake his teammates in the pits? Yes, he does. Where does George Russell come out, though? That is what is going to be very interesting. Russell, is he going to overtake Piastri and Leclerc? Yes, they do. Where does, though, the likes of Fernando Alonso come out? That is really who we are watching.
Yeah, so just watching here again. Russell's on. Russell has to come into the pits this lap. Just by the way, he's on 18, supposedly he's on 18 lap old medium tires, unless our stats are wrong. He's on old and medium tires, or maybe he's come out on fresher ones, because he did come to the pits right near the beginning of the race. But Piastri comes out in 11th. Piastri comes out in 11th? Does he come out? No, 13th. Leclerc will come out in 14th. So
he still comes ahead of Alonso, though, so that certainly worked out well for the likes of the McLarens, as now Lando Norris is told to box.
Yeah, so Leclerc has now gone ahead of Alonso as a result of that pit stop. He's undercut him in the pits. And
as Alonso now gets that move done on Charles Leclerc. Brilliant from Fernando Alonso to take that position back from Charles Leclerc, as he has the warmer tyres.
Yeah, so we do now actually have Charles Leclerc conceding that position to Alonso after supposedly coming out ahead of him. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to run away for a little bit and go set up another stream, but Reece is going to continue with you guys, and I'll be back very shortly.
Yes, I'm staying with you guys, so no stress about a drop in commentary. As Chennai just says, fingers crossed for Perez being on hard. Seems like a good plan. It seems like a good plan, but you still have to come into the pits after 18 laps. Unfortunately, there's no tyre strategies really here today, because everyone has stipulated that every 18 laps on a set of tyres, you have to come into the pits. Lando Norris now leaving the pits. Where will he come out? He's been overtaken by George Russell, overtaken by Fernando Alonso, overtaken by Zhou Guanyu, as well as now, who's that ahead of him? Just waiting, Valtteri Bottas as well gets ahead of him. Slow pit stop for Lando Norris. How many seconds was that? 2.5, not bad, but 2.5. Not brilliant for him. Piastri's was a little bit slower, I'm hearing. Where does he come out now in terms of his teammates? Not very far behind, as Piastri now gets ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. Oh, sorry, that is not Yuki Tsunoda. I think that's Liam Lawson. Yes, it is Liam Lawson up in P10, as Oscar Piastri now gets up into P9. Max Verstappen still out on track. We'd expect him to come into the pits very, very soon. Currently, the top 3, though, is Max Verstappen, George Russell in P2. He is quite far down on Max Verstappen's time, 17 seconds back. Albon then in P3 right now, as we're watching a brilliant move from George Russell, making the move around the outside on Nico Hülkenberg. Brilliant move for him there. Watching now a replay of this move from Fernando Alonso on Charles Leclerc. Really good move there. Brilliant positioning of his car with those warmer tyres. We're now watching Oscar Piastri lining up a move on Kevin Magnussen for 8th place. Ansela saying Mercedes civil war. Well, I certainly think it's going to be a bit of civil war in the brief, or debriefing this evening after this race. George Russell is not happy at all. He saw a bit of a replay on the screens around the circuit, and he was really upset when he realized that it wasn't his fault, that he was actually just completely squashed into that corner. We're watching though, Max Verstappen still out on track. We have George Russell now in the pits, as well as who else is coming into the pits this time? No one else. When will Max Verstappen come into the pits, do we think? Narelle Pochita asking how much time is needed to make a pit stop. It's about 16 to 18 seconds around here. Moed asking what the next circuit is. It's not Las Vegas. It is indeed the Austin Grand Prix. I think that is next. Not next weekend, but the weekend after, if I'm not mistaken. I might just have to double check that. Norris saying it is clear that the pace is strong, so let's really try to make sure we use that for next time. So, just saying, let's not try and look after these tyres as much. Let's just push as much as we can. Max Verstappen's tyres are 17 laps old, so he has to come in on the next lap. Josh Gilson saying Formula One's biggest problem is the tracks have not evolved with the sport. We need more passing. That's certainly quite true. This circuit certainly provides a lot more overtaking opportunities than some of the other circuits that we visit throughout the season. As we're watching now a pass from Oscar Piastri, as well as a pass from Sergio Perez up for third position on Zhou Guanyu. He also does still need to come into the pits. His tyres are currently, I can't see that graphic has just gone away from me, but he has been out on track for 16 laps. You'd expect him to have to come into the pits really, really soon. Chennai saying Max is playing a lonely game as usual. Yes, he is, but he will need to come into the pits relatively soon, and that will put him within touch of some of those other drivers yet again. Where will he come in? But he should be coming in this next lap. Just watching now, Piastri sets the fastest lap of the race as now Charles Leclerc makes a move over on, I think that must be Yuki Tsunoda, as Oscar Piastri also makes that move on Yuki Tsunoda into that first corner. Both drivers make a move into that first corner. Brilliant from those two drivers. This race may very well hold the most amount of overtakes from the season, as someone there in the comment section asking who is at fault, in my opinion, George or Hamilton, for that incident. To be very honest, I think it was a racing incident. It often happens in the first corner of a track, but if I had to lay blame on one driver, I would say, unfortunately, Lewis Hamilton, because he did have the better looks of, well, not better looks, but he had more space on his outside, and he just cut into George Russell a little bit too much, and unfortunately destroyed his right rear tire, popped the wheel off the rim, destroyed the rim. He was not able to make his way back to the pits, and that was his race over within the first lap. Max Verstappen is on his final lap now on these tires, as he's being told now he has to come in at the end. As Wayanda says, the cars are too big for most of the circuits nowadays, which is why it is annoying to watch. I completely agree. I actually saw one of the cars the other day, one of Red Bull's show cars that make its way around the world. I saw it here in Joburg, and those cars are absolutely massive. Just looking and clarifying how long it does take you in the pit stops here, it's 26 seconds, so not as short as I thought it was. I thought it was about 18 seconds. It's 26 seconds that you can lose in a pit stop around here. Not a Raccoon saying it's going to be their least favourite Grand Prix. Why? There's so many overtakes around this track. It's being very, very exciting here. We could have another driver within range for that P1 spot, as Oscar Piastri now makes a move on Lance Stroll for P6. Oscar Piastri having a great weekend around here, as someone there saying, I agree that we could make better compounds for tracks. I certainly agree on that, as Max Verstappen now dives into the pits, hard on the brakes, no lockups for him. He will come into the pits for the first time this weekend. Just hearing that, it's heard that Verstappen may not have gotten to the correct speed as he came into the pit lane. He might receive a penalty for that if he does go over the pit lane speed limit, but it should be fine, to be honest. We'll see what happens. Yeah, as we do have 500 of you watching alongside with us now, thank you very much for joining the stream. Please do be sure to hit that like button. Don't be shy, as Alex Albon takes the lead of this race from Max Verstappen. Sergio Perez also comes into the pits now for that Red Bull. He drops down into 6th, 8th, 9th position, as there are so many drivers making their way around the circuit. He does make his way out of the pits, and he is down in, where is he now? He is 16th position after his pit stop. Piastri is now 8 seconds off the back of Max Verstappen. Albon is now told box box by the Red Bull engineers. Leonardo just saying, Albon P1, nice. Oscar Piastri just watching a replay of him overtaking Zhou Guanyu for third position, back into the podium positions now, as Zhou Guanyu tries to defend as hard as he can, but Oscar Piastri looking very, very comfortable in his car at the moment, and just makes that move stick with ease, muscling his way through there on Zhou Guanyu. Just looking at what's happening with the other drivers out on track, making our way through the bottom 10, Esteban Ocon is that final driver in the points at the moment. Lance Stroll has been told, you have to let Fernando by as quickly as possible, not to hold him up, because he is on a different strategy. Will Stroll listen, though, to his teammates, or will he just continue with his poor form that he's been doing throughout the rest of this race weekend, and just upset us Formula 1 fans even more? He hasn't let his teammate pass just yet. What is he going to do? Stroll is still ahead of Albon, no, he does now finally let Alonso through in the first corner. Alex Albon now in the pits, as is Zhou Guanyu. Lots and lots of different tyre strategies this race weekend. It's certainly keeping us all on our toes. Lando Norris gets past now Charles Leclerc for 6th position. Brilliant for Lando Norris. I always get Lando and Fernando confused, but just bear with me. Lando Norris now up into 6th position, Stroll in 5th, and Fernando up in 4th. What will happen with Stroll's race here today? He should also have to come to the pits relatively soon. Everyone seems to be following those rules set up by the FIA and Pirelli for this race weekend. Of course, you have to come into the pits if your tyres get to 18 laps in age. It's a stipulated rule this weekend because of the amount of degradation that Pirelli have seen on their tyres that they brought. They don't want to risk another tyre blow like we had here in 2021. But just watching now that replay of Lando Norris getting past Charles Leclerc. Brilliant move from him on the outside. It just looked like Charles Leclerc didn't even try and defend on him. Just watching a replay now of George Russell as well getting past one of the Haas drivers up for 10th position now. He finally makes his way back into the points after his first pit stop of the race. Or his second pit stop rather of the race because of that incident on turn 1. Or on lap 1 rather. 7.6 seconds is now that interval from Oscar Piastri to Max Verstappen. Piastri seems to be pushing quite quickly though, as that lap time just falls down. As now Fernando Alonso makes a move on Valtteri Bottas before turn 1. That looks all too easy for him as he overtakes him even before that braking zone. Chucky Dogs says that like and subscribe to the channel or you might not wake up in the morning. Yeah, I agree. Just hit that like button. It costs you absolutely nothing and it helps us just to get recommended a little bit more in the search bar of YouTube. And it really does mean a lot if you guys do subscribe to the channel. Sergio Perez is currently down in 14th position. He's made up 2 positions from the start of the race. Listening to Lewis Hamilton now giving an interview, he's saying that he feels really sorry to the team for that incident on lap 1. It was an opportunity for him to get good points today, possibly even an opportunity for him to win the race here today. Heat at the moment, of course, he made that mistake. He didn't understand what happened. He put the blame on George, but then looking at the incidents, he has now put the blame on himself. And unfortunate incident, but it did happen here today. Wayanda Majula saying Hamilton 100% point scoring record is done. That leaves only the championship having scored points in every race so far. Yeah, really disappointing for Lewis Hamilton to not have that record carry on going. But unfortunately, records have to stop at some point. We have Sergio Perez now chasing down Yuki Tsunoda in 13th position. He is behind his teammate of Liam Lawson once again in the race weekend. As Rena Sanchez says, go Oscar from Australia. Lando Norris now up into P5 as he overtakes Lance Stroll in turn 1. Lance Stroll still trying to defend off of Lando Norris, but that car has no pace compared as the Alpine and George Russell are really fighting it up for P9 at the moment. Gasly and Russell really wheel to wheel there through turn 6 and 7, but Gasly still ahead of George Russell at the moment, being able to score from George Russell's little mistake there. Still watching George Russell. He's still stuck behind that car of Pierre Gasly as Pierre Gasly dived to the inside and then he's still stuck to that inside line. Ooh, Gasly actually pushed him a little bit off the track. So we could get that incident being investigated a little bit. He should have probably given George a little bit more room there into turn 1 as Russell comes onto the radio and he says he pushed me straight off. And Josh Gilson says it's amazing what Stroll is doing. Mind-blowing. Well, he's up in P6 and he's the only driver yet to have a pit stop, if I'm correct. The stewards are definitely going to have a look at that incident, though, between George Russell and Pierre Gasly as he was forced off the track there. We may get a 5-second time penalty for Pierre Gasly for pushing another driver off the track. Wayanda Majula just saying there to Josh Gilson, be careful, Stroll could still mess this up. Of course he could, it's Lance Stroll. Yeah, just watching though what's happening down the midfield. We're getting a couple positions shifting around now as we have a bunch of drivers all in the pits. We have Bottas, Stroll, Magnussen and Lawson all diving into the pits now. Alex Albon making a move on Yuki Tsunoda, trying to go around the outside. He just does not have that pace. As he tries to dive to the inside, Yuki Tsunoda cuts him off a little bit, and he has to concede behind. Still chasing him down, though. Will he be able to take that position before that next pit stop that they all make out here? Really, really close from all of these drivers out on track at the moment. Oscar Piastri still within touching range of Max Verstappen. 7.7 seconds is that gap right now as Mark is going to join us again. He's not able to close it too much, but he's keeping it at bay.
Keeping who in bay, sorry?
Verstappen, Piastri, 7.8. It's staying there quite consistently at the moment.
Well, how many laps? Because like you see, all the pit stops are happening. I've absolutely no idea.
Right there. Max Verstappen has 7 lap-hold tyres. Piastri has 16 lap-hold tyres. Alonso has 15 lap-hold mediums right now. Norris has 14 lap-hold mediums, and Leclerc has 16 lap-hold mediums.
So if I'm working this out correctly, Piastri will have 2 more pit stops for the remainder of this race. Alonso will have also 2, same as Norris. Verstappen will probably need to have 3 pit stops before the end of this race, if I'm working this out correctly, because it's 10 laps, 20, 33. Yeah, he's going to have 3 pit stops.
So, just to let you know, unfortunately, our race lap counter there up in the top left corner of our timing board is incorrect, so I'm going to take that away, just so no one gets confused. It says we're currently on lap 35, we're on lap 23, but yeah, I'm just going to move that away so no one gets confused. But we are on lap 23 of 57 for this race out here in Qatar.
It's actually is correct. It's just telling you how many laps are left remaining in the
sorry,
race.
Then I will leave it.
So, yeah, it's just telling you how many laps are left. So we've got 35 laps remaining in the race. We're in lap 23, though, of 57. So, yeah, let us know, guys, in the comments how you think your favorite driver will do. Perez currently in the points with the fastest lap in 9th. See, it's very good from him. Stroll still all the way down in 15th. Yuki Tsunoda and Lawson battling it out right at the back of the grid. Leclerc still in 5th, and Piastri still in 2nd, and Alonso up there in 3rd.
Alex Albon's got black and white flags for track limits already.
Oh, my word. So next pit stop has to be by lap 25 for Oscar Piastri. We know this now. Again, so it's interesting because right now Max Verstappen has to make up more time on these current tires. He needs to get some big gaps going because he needs to have an extra pit stop over Piastri and Alonso at least. Because if I'm calculating this correct again, it looks like Max Verstappen will need to come into the pits at least 2 times.
Yes,
at least 2 times, if not 3, depending on the tires that he puts on. If he still has a fresh set of tires, then he should be fine. But yeah, it's certainly going to be something that's going to be we're going to have to look at quite seriously there.
Yes, for sure. We're going to have to keep an eye on all of these lap times because, of course, as we said, if you don't comply to those rules that have been set out today, you will be disqualified from the race.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So, guys, we're just watching here now. Fastest lap being put another by Perez at 127.6. Verstappen's interval to Piastri is 7.9 seconds. Alonso is 6 seconds behind Piastri himself. And Ocon's up there in 6th as well, as Gasly's in 8th. So, not too bad from them. But again, it's such an awkward thing to try and work out where everybody actually is because of these pit stop strategies, because they've got so many different pit stop strategies. We see a few drivers have made 2 pit stops, a few have only made 1, but I'm sure we will see the 2nd pit stops and the 3rd pit stops happening before the end of this race as well. Maybe even 4 pit stops for some of them.
Yes, as you say, there could be quite a few pit stops here today. It's going to be very difficult for these drivers, but we'll have to continue watching what they're able to do.
And Norris now takes away that fastest lap from Perez. He currently is in 4th. Race Control has now noted black and white flags for Perez for track limits. So we could see some penalties being brought in before the end of the race, only halfway through, and black flags already being shown, which means the next time it should happen, you're starting to get some penalties. So it's going to be a very, very interesting one.
Yes, it's going to be very interesting here today, as you say there, with all of those track limits. I was trying to get the channel link for you guys, but I can't really find that. Just so we can push you all across as well to our Forever Motorsports channel. Of course, we are based on our own now dedicated motorsports channel called Forever Motorsports. So please do be sure to go and check that out. I will find that link and drop it down in the comment section, probably from my own personal YouTube channel.
Piastri, they've been told to box. And also, guys, if you are looking for that channel, just go to this current channel, Forever Sports' partner channels, and it'll appear there as Forever Motorsports. So you can
I will try and drop it down in the comment section
we'll get that
shortly,
link
though.
for you very shortly. And yeah, indeed, been very, very good to watch in lap 25 here of 57. So we're almost halfway through. Lando Norris is trying to get into that podium position. Alonso's ahead of him, Piastri ahead of him. I think we could see a double McLaren podium unless Alonso can have anything to say about it.
Yes, Fernando Alonso is going to try and take away some of those positions. He's currently up in third, at least in the podium positions for now, but it is still a very long race. Oscar Piastri closing that gap to him now, 1.7 seconds. It's closing quite quickly. It's 1.6 seconds now as the Alpine garage starts to get ready for another pit stop.
Yeah, they're getting ready for another pit stop. Now, Piastri's in the pits. Let's see how he fares. Hopefully, it's a quick pit stop for him. Where will he come out is also going to be the very interesting one. I think he should come out around about Russell and Gasly. And Perez, so he's going to be fighting around with them. Let's see how good the pit stop is. That's a brilliant pit stop from McLaren. A 2 point...
Should be a 2 point, very low 2 point something as they
2.1. Yeah, brilliant.
For
Leclerc also in the pits here. Ocon also in the pits. So just noting, yeah, Leclerc's pit stop slightly slower. I think 2.3 indeed, but it was still quick. Ocon now in the pits. His pit stop wasn't brilliant. And at 3 seconds, yeah, indeed. So not brilliant from them.
It's not horrific, but not necessarily what they would have wanted here today, as we have a whole bunch of other drivers now making their way into the pits. Charles Leclerc, Esteban Ocon, as well Zhou Guanyu. He makes his way up into 9th place as a bunch of those drivers make their way into the pits. As we see now, who is this trying to get around the outside? Lance Stroll getting around the outside of Charles Leclerc, who's just come into the pits and put on a set of hard tyres. Alonso now saying the seat is burning, mate. Anything we can do at the pit stop? Throw water on me or something. His seat is burning underneath him. That's horrible.
You know, really, really not nice for Alonso. Understood, Fernando. We'll have a think if we can do anything. Going to be difficult, though, says his race engineers.
Yes, not necessarily happy for him. He's going to be wanting to really try to... There we go. I've got it now, finally. I finally got the link to the channel. That took long enough. I think Mark has been ahead of me, though, and pasted that already into that link. Yeah, check out our dedicated Motorsports channel in the link in the description, please, or in the channel comments. So, yeah, do be sure to go and check that out, as Lando Norris is up into P2, as a whole bunch of those drivers now make their way into the pits. Fernando Alonso coming to the pits. Will they be able to throw some water on him? There's, of course, though, a lot of electronics in that car with him. So, let's see what they do.
Well, there you go. We've got somebody adjusting the seat there for him, so he's just trying to do something.
They couldn't do anything.
I think they were just trying to have a look to see what might be causing the issue.
Couldn't do anything, unfortunately. They always steady the car in the pits.
Ooh,
Another slow pit stop for the Alpines. Really, really slow. 4 seconds.
Yeah, really not brilliant there. They couldn't get the rear jack down, so unfortunately that was a problem there. I think it was the rear jack, at least that was the problem. Not so sure. It was tyres. So, Sargent also into the pits. Gasly's going to come out in 13th. Leclerc now is in 12th. Stroll in 11th. Alonso came out in 8th position. And we now have Verstappen, Norris, and Russell as our front three.
Sergio Perez gets a penalty. I would assume that's for track limits.
So he was showing the black and white flag. He now gets a 5-second penalty for track limits. He's up in 4th, but now he's got 5 seconds to his name. So Albon is almost within range of Perez for that. But again, we have absolutely no idea where everybody is, as we've seen different tyres being used from everybody. So
just watching a replay of him where he did go over those track limits and quite far over the track limits. I think they're being extremely harsh on them today because they know that it can cause tyre blowouts. Max Verstappen all alone up in first, 15 seconds ahead of Lando Norris, who's, as I say, in second. LeBron asking what happened to Hamilton. Unfortunately, Hamilton took himself out in the first lap, crashing into his teammate George Russell. He took out his front... his back right tyre. And as now we have Lando Norris coming into the pits. George Russell takes second from Norris now.
Yeah, Russell also with the fastest laps right now. So we're seeing these fastest lap times change between drivers regularly as well. So very interesting to see a brilliant pit stop, by the way, from Lando Norris. Absolutely brilliant. Possibly one of the fastest of the whole season. 1.8 seconds. 1.8 seconds. Absolutely fantastic. And it's going to be challenging there.
Very close on the pit exit, as you say, with Zhou. He does fall behind Zhou now, but at least he may be able to get a little bit of a slipstream for a few moments.
Yeah, Hulkenberg now also the latest driver to make his way into the pits. And what's he going to come out on? He seems to come out on, I think it's going to be on the hard tyre. Let's just confirm that for you as we get told. But he's going to drop all the way down to pretty much the back of the grid as he comes to the pit exit there. And Logan Sargent's there with him as per usual.
Oscar Piastri trying to make the move on the outside, but he just does not have the pace, unfortunately, between himself and Alex Albon fighting for 4th position right now. Oscar Piastri, the sprint race winner from yesterday, will be trying to replicate that yet again today, but it is looking extremely difficult right now. Just shows you the difference between the hard and the mediums right now. The hard has been faster than the medium right now.
Yeah, indeed, it's exactly that. So the hards are actually looking like the favorable tire. We didn't think they would be used, but they seem to be the faster tire. So very interesting to see if anybody changes their strategy right now in lap 29. Still got quite a few laps left of the race. 29 laps against. We're now at the halfway stage. 29 laps remaining in the race. That's what you guys can see on your screens there. Verstappen still leads this race quite comfortably, but we've got a fastest first sector by Piastri, fastest second sector by Gasly, and the fastest third sector by Sergio Perez. So completely different drivers as Oscar Piastri makes a move there on Alex Albon and moves himself into
that
third.
move. Yes, finally making that move through into turn 1, going around the outside as we have a whole bunch of people just letting us know what happened in that first lap incident. Josh Gilson just repeating that Russell and Hamilton came together in lap 1. Hamilton has now conceded blame to that incident.
Yeah, indeed. I was going to have a sip of my water, but I see there's a bug in it, so I'm not going to do that. So, George, we're currently looking at a possible P4 here. Keep on top of those track limits, he's getting told by his Mercedes engineers. So they could salvage his race here. He started in P2, got a big incident with his teammate, of course, right in the first corner. It was pretty much his race over, but now looking like he could get P4 if he just makes sure that he stays in track limits. That's because of Russell's penalty, one imagines.
Yes, he does have, well, of course, that option to get onto the podium even because of Perez's penalty. But we'll have to wait and see what the two McLarens can do here today.
So Iman here is saying he's in Qatar right now. Well, what? I'm hoping you're at the race in Qatar right now.
Well, nonetheless, we're very happy to have you on our stream. Thank you very much for joining. Guys, please do be sure to hit that like button. We have only 70 likes on this video right now, and there are over 600 of you watching. So come on, if all of you just hit that like button, it costs you nothing. As, yeah.
So looking at the drivers who will need to pit in the next few laps, Russell is the next one, as well as Verstappen. So Russell and Verstappen on very similar tyre strategies here, although Russell's already got obviously an extra stop as a result of that early collision in the race. But he needs to move on to a different compound, so one imagines he'll move on to the hards now because he's only used mediums.
As Lando Norris now gets past Zhou Guanyu into turn 1 for that 6th position. That's not who he's racing with today, so that's why Zhou Guanyu didn't put up much of a fight with him at the moment. His next driver up the road is Alex Albon, then it is his teammate.
So, just also noting the fact that we're seeing this fastest lap being taken from every possible driver, as now Piastri holds it to his name. It was Russell temporarily, now Piastri.
Gasly is putting in the fastest middle sector though, so he may try and take that away, but I think he has finished that lap and he doesn't. Next pit stop for Max Verstappen will be no later than lap 34. It's currently lap 30, so he has another 4 laps to do until he can come into the pits. Mark just doing some maths there to make sure that they're all correct. Max Verstappen has done, I think, 12 laps on those tyres.
So he has to, after this pit stop, he has to come into the pits again. So this cannot be his last pit stop. So he'll definitely have to come into the pit stop again. And he's been told, let's have a managed increase in pace at this point. Basically being told, we need to have a pit stop soon. So let's try and just increase the lap speeds a little bit. Pick up the pace a little bit from here, but it has to be sustainable, basically, for his tyres, I think.
So pretty much saying we've seen that our tyre degradation is alright, and we can afford maybe to just pick up the pace a little bit. I mean, does it matter really? He's 22 seconds ahead of everyone else.
Well, now we're seeing the new fastest lap to Lando Norris. Again, it's chopping and changing. I think it actually went to Alex Albon just before that. So, brilliant from Lando Norris there. Getting a fastest lap to his name. Actually, I think it was just taken
as Charles Leclerc tries to make a move now on Lance Stroll. He goes around the outside. He does make that move stick. Ooh, Lance Stroll getting very close to the inside. Will they keep it neat and tidy? Yes, they do. As Charles Leclerc now makes his way back into the points for this Qatar Grand Prix.
Yeah, indeed. So, just looking at that move again, a fantastic little move there from Leclerc. It was quite a long and drawn out little move, but Lance Stroll tried to come back at him. It's a bit of a bizarre one because it's really not his race to be trying to race with Leclerc, but nonetheless, Leclerc does make that move stick. He moves into 10th, and of course, with all the different pit stop strategies, one assumes he'll still finish around about 5th or 4th. That's more or less where he started, but he's not chasing Bottas for 9th position, currently at least.
Yes, not the greatest day for Ferrari here today, of course, with Carlos Sainz not even able to start the race because of a fuel line issue that they were not able to resolve before the start. That meant that he was, of course, not able to start at all. Disappointing off the back of yesterday where they had some good pace. Max Verstappen, or was that Perez? No, Perez now makes his way into the pits.
Yeah, so Perez is now in the pits. Let's see where he comes out. This is Perez's, I think, 3rd stop of the day, or perhaps 2nd stop of the day. So he comes into the pits. And he served his penalty now. His 5-second penalty has been served. And he now does the car. It's a very quick pit stop outside of the penalty. So good from Red Bull there. they've managed to get him out relatively quickly, and he should come out more or less around about 12th, 13th,
7.8,
I
so
think.
not too bad. That would have been a 2.8 second stop for them.
Well, effective 2.8 second stop,
Yes.
because it was actually probably a little bit quicker, because don't forget, you always have to wait a little bit before serving that penalty. You actually have to align the car, which does take up a little bit of time.
Yes, it does. As now Alex Albon comes out the pits, he positions himself quite well in between the house and the car of, I think that's Yuki Tsunoda in that AlphaTauri. He doesn't want to concede that position again because they were fighting early on. Ooh, as Albon tries to go around the outside, will he be able to hold on to that? Yuki Tsunoda tries to go around the outside. Alex Albon positioned his car perfectly there. Will he be able to hold on to that point? As Yuki Tsunoda tries to go around the outside, George...
Oh, dear.
He does try to stick to the inside, but difficult for him there.
Yeah, Alex Albon has to concede to it. He was trying to hold on to it, but his tyres are still a little bit cool, and he's going to have to make that fight happen again with Yuki Tsunoda just ahead of him. Really not worth being taken out of the race for, of course. So he's going to have to concede it and just going to have to fight it again before the end of this. Lap 33 here. Russell now in the pits. Let's see how quick his pit stop is. Didn't look very, very quick at all.
Not bad. I didn't think it was bad. 2.6 seconds. That's not slow. It's not horrific. George Russell had his visor open as he came into the pits there, just to try and cool himself down a little bit. Max Verstappen should come in the next lap, as he is on his 18th lap on these current tyres.
Yeah, indeed. He will be on his 18th lap. So I was just actually trying to work it out. I think he might be able to finish the race on his current lap times, because I actually calculated it wrong from the wrong time. But it's going to be a very, very big push for him to get it to the end. That's only if he comes out on new tyres, don't forget.
Yellow flag, sector one.
Dear,
Who is that? Alonso goes into the gravel.
Lance Stroll, is it not? No, it's
It's
Alonso.
Alonso. Alonso's into the gravel. He gets back onto the track now, but he loses multiple positions. He's down in P7 now. Green flag yet again. Very disappointing for Fernando Alonso. I think he may have just come into the pits for those hards. With those cold tyres, he's now really struggling.
Yeah, I cannot believe that. Alonso was having a relatively decent race and was going to be on track for trying to compete for a podium, but now with that, I'm not so sure he will, as Max Verstappen gets told to box. And very disappointing for Alonso. I'm sure we're going to see a replay of exactly how that happened. One imagines he just took a little bit of a spin. So unfortunate for Alonso. He's going to have to try and fight now. He's almost close to his teammate. Just watching now that replay of Fernando Alonso. He comes into a left-hander and he just loses it a little bit.
It's turn 15, near the end of the track. Massive snap of oversteer. He's lucky to keep the car going with the momentum. Otherwise, he could have been able to well, he would have been stuck in that gravel. Very, very lucky that he did get back onto the track in an alright area. He came back onto the escape road. Ooh, really came out at a really non-opportune moment and just jumped in front of the Ferrari. That may be looked at, and he might get a penalty for that, for not rejoining the track in a safe manner.
Well, to be fair to him, at least he didn't make any contact, and Charles Leclerc saw him and didn't seem to make too much of a fuss about getting past him, so I think it will be forgiven. But it's very unfortunate for Alonso, who's now sitting in 7th behind that Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, who's in 6th. But Alonso, let's look at how many laps he's done on those tyres. Unfortunately, not available to us right now. Very irritating.
It will swap through in a few
a
seconds.
little bit, but we'll find out. But I think he's on older tyres, which means that's really going to affect his race quite badly.
There's a lot of dust in that sector where he went off of the track. As Max Verstappen now comes into the pits, he is going to leave the pits in a few seconds. Piastri, though, is still coming around the final sector.
But Alonso, as some of the comments have said, is in a world of his own right now. Verstappen's in a world of his own right now. As I think his pit stop should be quite a quick one. 2.5 seconds. Not the quickest, but certainly not bad. I do think we do have a contender for new quickest pit stop of the season, though,
sure.
from Lando
I think
Norris.
that might even be the fastest lap time of all.
Quickest pit stop of all, yes.
Pit stop,
Unbelievable
that's the
pit
one I
stop.
mean.
1.8 seconds there for McLaren. Absolutely brilliant for Lando Norris with that pit stop. So Verstappen exits the pits, as we say, quite well ahead of Piastri, and we're seeing the gaps about 7.4 seconds.
A lot of people saying how upset they are about Fernando Alonso's mistake there, and that race-ruining mistake, really. The fact that he's now all the way down in P7. He was fighting for P4, as now George Russell tries to make a move on Zhou Guanyu. He does make that move stick before the braking point. That car just has so much more pace.
Again, Zhou just letting them by, not even trying to defend. He knows it's not his race, so he's just letting Russell by him. And it could be quite a decent race for the Alfa Romeo. Zhou in 5th and Bottas in 8th. And I don't know quite how these tyre strategies are working, although having looked at it now, they are on the older sets of tyres. So actually, not going to work out too well. Zhou's on 16-lap-old tyres. He's going to need to make his way to the pits. Race control has noted an incident involving Alonso for rejoining unsafely, as we said. So Sargent's on the radio here. Reece is listening to it. He's going to let us know exactly what's happening there. And just
Sargent's apparently not feeling well in the car, so they might bring him into the pits and end the day for him. I don't know if it's due to the fact that it's just so hot. They've told him you can retire if you feel you need to, but of course it's his decision at the end of the day.
Could we have another one of those Mark Webber moments where
You're getting sick in
the
your
car?
car. I hope not.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he's all right. He's driving all right out on track. He's down in 18th. He's last of the runners at the moment, so there's not much you're going to be sacrificing if you do come into the pits. But of course, with that seat, which is so coveted, and really a lot of people asking for him to get ousted from that team, does he want to come and retire from the race just because he's not feeling well?
Yeah, it's exactly that. So not going to be... it's just not going to be very ideal for him to retire from this race. But he is also down in 18th. Again, it's one of those races where he's not going to be able to do anything. Although we don't know effectively where he is because of all these pit stops. It's really, really confusing to try and figure out where everybody is. As Joe now does, as I said, needs to make his way back into the pits, and he does. So he's going to be dropping further down that grid. Bottas now moves into 7th, Leclerc back in 5th, Russell in 4th, 2 McLarens in 2nd and 3rd behind Max Verstappen, who's in 1st. 6-second gap right now from Piastri to Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen's come out on those hard tyres. Just trying to work out my maths again.
Just hearing from James Allison there, the Williams team manager. He says that Logan Sargent was fine before the race, but it just has been brought on by the fact that it is so hot around the circuit, so humid. He just says apparently he feels like he's going to get sick in his helmet.
Yeah, so there's going to be something like a Mark Webber sort of moment. So we might need to watch that carefully, and hopefully Logan Sargent overcomes whatever that is. Needs to take some more water on board. Hopefully he's maybe a bit too dehydrated.
The issue is, though, you don't want to drink that water during this race. It is so hot. It's like drinking tea.
Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward one. So he does still need to remain hydrated, though, and hydration is more important than how hot the water is. So he's just going to have to keep doing it, and hopefully doesn't get sick in the car, and hopefully does continue this race. But just noting that I still think Verstappen does need to make his way back into
He
the pits.
will need to pit again. There's still 21 laps left of this race. He certainly will have to come to the pits one final time. As Josh Gilson says, so now Alonso is out of the podium and possibly a penalty.
Yeah, and exactly that. I don't think the penalty would be given because, as much as it might have been unsafe, I think it wasn't that unsafe. If you know what I mean.
It was, though, because he came right out ahead of Charles Leclerc. That could have been a massive incident if he was coming a little bit slower out of that runoff sector.
Yeah, so let's just find out here. So only Hamilton and Sainz, of course, not in this race. Sainz didn't even start the race. Only Hamilton's our DNF today. So interesting to see why we've not got anybody else leaving the race today. Because yesterday in the sprint we had so many, and yet today I thought we'd have more, but not the case.
Well, there have been some, but I think it's been more brought on by the fact that there's been so many pit stops. I think that has rather robbed us of a really exciting race here today. I think the strategies could have been super, super exciting. Seeing what was going to happen. I think, had a tyre or two blown up,
Yeah,
more exciting racing for us.
Exactly that. So, still got 20 laps remaining here. And
I agree there
Russell's
from Reina Sanchez saying might be heat stroke for Sargent.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It is very, very hot here. And cars with the boiling engine right behind you, you're even hotter, and in these ovals and everything, it's just so hot in Qatar. And sometimes you do have to question the racing decisions to be taken to these tracks because, the problem is the Middle East, it doesn't really get cold at any point in the year. So this sort of thing does sort of happen. Just watching a replay here of, I think this is Lance Stroll, maybe, with an Alpine behind him. Indeed it is. Just watching that move being taken, and a brilliant little move there from Gasly on Stroll.
So, I'm just hearing from the commentators on Formula 1 side, if you come in, I think it's not this lap, not the next lap, but I think it's lap 39, they said. If you come in on lap 39, you should be able to get to the end of the lap, to end of the race on one, yes, on one brand new set of tyres. But they have to be brand new.
Yeah, so let's hopefully see if any teams have managed to keep those brand new tyres ready for them to go to the end of the race, and can they make up enough positions? Again, with all these pit stops, we have absolutely no idea where everybody could finish. But likely right now, I think it should be Red Bull's Verstappen in first. And just noting an instance here, Perez for under investigation for track limits again.
Oh my word, Perez, come on.
But right now, I think Verstappen and Piastri are still 1 and 2. It's Russell and Norris, I think, that are the next ones that we're looking at. Can Russell get ahead of Norris and Leclerc as well? Could he now move
Russell's
into fourth?
really far back though. But of course, Lando Norris, well, including Russell, they all still need to come for another pit stop. So who knows what's going to happen in these latter stages of the race?
It's going to be very, very confusing here. With just 19 laps remaining, so just one more lap done, and then, as we said, people can come into the pits.
It's this lap, lap 39. If they come in this lap, they can go to the end of the race.
And
Oscar
look at Piastri.
Piastri's predicted next lap that he has to come in for that pit stop is lap 43.
So Piastri has to come into the pits in just a little bit, and so he's going to have fresh tires for the most of the race.
Yeah, just watching now, Oscar Piastri going around the track. He's still trying to chase down on Max Verstappen. He's keeping that gap, though, around 3.1 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to see Piastri really take advantage of this, and if Red Bull and Max Verstappen have some sort of an issue, Piastri could be on for a race win here. If there's an issue, of course, I don't think there will be an issue. We know how good Max Verstappen is. We're seeing Joe Brand New make an overtake here on Yuki Tsunoda, and very easy. Yuki Tsunoda just lets him by, doesn't even try to compete. So I think he knows that, you know, there's not really a problem there at all. And yeah.
Yes, just following those top runners at the moment. Oscar Piastri falling a little bit back on this lap at the moment. Lando Norris, though, slowly closing that gap, though, to his teammate. 3.6 seconds.
Yeah, really starting to get there. So Lando Norris trying to do something with his teammate Piastri. Then Perez is saying that's another 5-second penalty for track limits. This is hurting our race. He's not actually been given a 5-second penalty. I think they're trying to influence Perez maybe into the idea that you can't keep doing it. Maybe just trying to give him fake news, essentially. Because I haven't seen him get given that 5-second penalty, and they've just noted that he's going to be under investigation for track limits again. Perez.
Well, they need to rein in all of these issues that he keeps having with going over the track limits. It happened as well during qualifying. He had lap times deleted. And yeah, unfortunately, he's just going to have to be as careful as he can through the rest of this race. As we now have, who is that diving into the pits? Valtteri Bottas. He now comes in for his next set.
As the Stroll.
As the Stroll and Magnussen.
Yeah, so we've got a few drivers in the pits right now coming to see what's happening there. But again, Perez hasn't actually been given a penalty yet. I think Red Bull have either preempted that he's going to get another penalty, or, again, just trying to tell him, basically, in a very forced manner, don't be going over track limits anymore. Basically, just by telling him he's got another penalty, even though he might not.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Some support getting put in there for Lando, as well as the Papaya Army, saying another Papaya podium. We'll have to wait and see, though. There is still a few laps left of this race, and it could still all be to play for with all of these pit stops taking place right now. We have Hulkenberg and Lawson as well coming out the pits. Now, Piastri, he comes around the start-finish straight. I was going to say he's closing on Verstappen, but Verstappen is now setting another fast lap.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Unless something happens to Max Verstappen's car, or a slow pit stop or something like that manner, Max Verstappen will definitely go on to win this race. But Piastri will have to come. There you go. Black and white flags have been flown for Stroll now. Not that that really matters too much. But so it's Stroll also being done in for track limits. Unfortunately, guys, I'm going to have to leave you in just a little bit. So I'm just going to give my very final prediction here. And I'm going to say Max Verstappen is going to finish first. Piastri in second and Norris in third. We're going to see a double papaya
Logan
podium.
Sargent is retiring. He's still not feeling well.
Yeah.
He's being told, you get the call if you want to retire or not.
Yeah, he's slowing down. Look, he's slowed down a lot, Chaz, Logan Sargent.
He's coming in to retire. He's backing off. He's letting everyone pass. He is done for this race. Unfortunately, as he goes over, he's really unwell by the looks of things.
Yeah, he's not well at all in that car. He's barely able to control it. Just went off the track completely there before coming back on. Not a happy man is Logan Sargent. Yellow flag in sector 3.
It's for him.
He's going very, very slowly. Hopefully he does make his way back to the pits, but he's struggling to get there as Logan Sargent. And we're now watching a replay of Sergio Perez. I think this is now a penalty now has been given, so Red Bull just preempted it. 4 track limits again at turn 5, it looks like. So
another 5-second penalty, as you say, for Sergio Perez. Disappointing for him now as Logan Sargent does come into the pits and retires from this race. Unfortunate for Logan Sargent, it looks like he may have some heat stroke or something in that car.
Yeah.
He's really struggling, and he has now decided to retire from the race.
So the second retirement of those who started the race, of course, Carlos Sainz was not able to start. Very disappointing for him and the Ferrari group. But guys, unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave now. Reece will take you through to the rest of this Grand Prix. Thank you guys so much for joining me, of course. And I've really enjoyed being here. So sorry I wasn't able to continue on, but Reece will take you through. Guys, thank you so much.
Yes, and take your chair with you. Thank you. We will continue on, though, here at the Qatar Grand Prix. Still very, very exciting as we're getting into the latter stages of this race. Logan Sargent being wheeled back into his pit box now as he's saying, I'm so sorry, guys, but being told it's okay from his race engineer. He's really not looking very well in that car. He's looking so flushed. I'm hoping he'll be okay. He'll probably go to one of the medical delegates and just get checked out there. But rather just make sure that he's all right rather than carrying on and getting sick in that car and possibly causing a crash. Disappointing for Sargentes. Rena Sanchez says, oh no, another DNF. Yeah, very, very interesting at the moment. Max Verstappen currently on a set of hards. Piastri and Norris on a set of mediums. Russell on a set of hards. Leclerc also hards. Alonso hards. Ocon hards. Gasly on hards. Perez on mediums. But he has to come back again on a set of new tyres. As well as he's going to have another 5-second penalty. A second 5-second penalty for him today due to exceeding track limits. Not very well done from Sergio Perez here today in Qatar. Difficult for him as much as it's been a difficult weekend for everyone. But I think there's going to be a lot of pressure being put on Sergio Perez at the moment due to the fact of the way how he's racing right now. Waiting for Max Verstappen. He's currently only done 8 laps on his hard tyres. Oscar Piastri's done 17. He's coming in on this lap. He's said box. Yeah, and Lando and Russell are slowly starting to close in on Piastri. Lando Norris 2.7 seconds back on his teammate. Max Verstappen, though, really far ahead of the entire field. He's about to start overtaking people. Or overlapping people is what I mean there. Andrew Townend saying Max may go onto a set of soft tyres for the last few laps and go for the fastest lap at the end, of course. There's no harm doing it, but of course you want to leave it and make sure you have enough tyres to get to the end. We know that the degradation around the circuit is super, super high, which is why we've had these enforced pit stops this race. You have to come into the pits after your tyres have done 18 laps. Very difficult, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Rena Sanchez asking if both AlphaTauri's out. No, they're not. They're both still racing at the moment. Yeah, they are still racing at the moment. They're down in 15th and 16th. Their names have been greyed out a bit because they have been lapped by the race leader. As now, Lando Norris sets the fastest lap of the race as his teammate comes into the pits for his final pit stop of this race here in Qatar. Let's see if this is quick enough to challenge with his other lap time his other pit stop that he had earlier, 1.8. Looked pretty decent again here today. They are really on fire. A 2-second pit stop for Oscar Piastri. Those engineers are really, really on the limit here today as Pierre Gasly is now given a penalty for 5 seconds for, I'm just waiting for the reason to come up there, for track limits. Yes, as I think they would do. Someone there just saying you'd think they'd wait until the last 6 laps. Unfortunately, because Oscar Piastri came to the end of his lap life, he came onto lap 17 of those tyres. He made the call himself to come into the pits. You have to come into the pits. Unfortunately, you don't have a choice. As Naro Pochita says, yes, Lando, as he takes second position when Piastri comes into the pits, as well as he sets that fastest lap. Sergio Perez comes into the pits and serves his time penalty. He is now 7.9 seconds back because of that pit stop. And the next driver up Max Verstappen's hit list is his own teammate. His teammate is going to get lapped by himself here today. That is very disappointing from Sergio Perez. In one of the most dominant cars in Formula 1 history, he is being overtaken by his teammate as Lando Norris is now being told, box. It will also be Lando Norris's final pit stop for the day. What will he be able to do in the latter stages of this race? 13 laps left here, 45 laps of 57. Let's see if they're able to keep his car in the pits as shortly as possible. Looks like another really good pit stop for the McLaren team. It is a 2.1 second pit stop. Those mechanics are really on fire here today. Where will he come out though? Will he come out ahead of his teammate? He should come out essentially side by side with him. They do. They come out side by side. Where does Lando Norris come out? Piastri comes out ahead though. As Lando Norris comes out on his new times. The gap was 2 seconds before Lando Norris came into the pits. This is going to be really tight in the final stages of the race. Will Lando Norris just accept the fact that he's behind his teammates and stay there, or will he want to fight for that second position? George Russell currently up on P2, but he will have to come into the pits yet again. Fernando Alonso, he leaves the pits now after his last pit stop of the day. He gets overtaken by Zhou Guanyu. He is now down in 7th position as Gasly and Albon also make their way into the pits. Really busy track out there at the moment as Fernando Alonso gets a little bit twitchy. His pit stop wasn't too bad. Alex Albon, his pit stop took 3.1 seconds stationary, so not too bad for him. I took a dog saying, push, Russell, push, as he now does have to make up as much time as possible on the likes of Piastri and Norris if he wants to get that podium here today. It's going to be extremely difficult for him, though. Watching Logan Sargent trying to get out of his car, he's dripping with sweat. He's really struggling to get out of his car. They're having to help him out. He really does not look in a good way, so I'm glad that they made the decision to allow him to retire from the race. He's seriously struggling, as we're now watching Sergio Perez backing off and letting his teammate through. Sergio Perez now getting lapped by Max Verstappen on lap 46 of 57 as Mark there in the background puts his hand over his face, just in disappointment for Sergio Perez. That is absolutely just shocking to see that. As Josh Gilson says, Max, has there ever been as a dominant season as we witnessed this year? The car and the man make a remarkable performance. Certainly, Max Verstappen has broken that record for consecutive race wins with 10 race wins. He currently, I think, has the most amount of race wins in a season as well as Red Bull have they have won every single race so far except for Singapore. As Pierre Gasly receives another penalty for track limits, another 5-second penalty for Pierre Gasly. This is a really important stint, though, now in these latter stages of the races. 11 laps left as these drivers are all starting to come around the track. I see we have Sainz and Sargent, that's because they're out of this race. I was just wondering why their names lit up there in the pits. But those two drivers are, of course, out of the race. As Angie Monkey is just saying almost half the grid is out at this point. No, not really. It's just Sainz, Hamilton, and Sargent that are out. Lawson, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Albon, and Perez are all grayed out because of the fact that they have been lapped. And then Lando Norris being told to hold position, and he's going, why? I can go quicker. So even though Piastri was able to win that race yesterday, Lando Norris is still wanting to prove that he is that number one driver at the team. McLaren are going to have to try and enforce team rules here. Just watching why Pierre Gasly received another time penalty as he comes into the pits for the final time and gets once again another 5-second time penalty. Very disappointing for the Alpine or Pierre Gasly. Disappointing for him here today. Not the greatest time out here. Let's see what happens. Trevor Belmont saying, let's see what George Russell can do on the last lap. As Alex Albon now gets given a 5-second penalty. 5-second penalty for you and everyone else at the moment is being given out by the FIA. They're all turning into Oprah at the moment, just dishing out free 5-second penalties as Lando Norris comes onto the radio and gets told, we know that it doesn't matter, but we're worried about Russell at the end, so we need to try and hold on position because Russell may put on a set of softs near the end. Lando Norris going, I'm not really worried, so I'm going to go a little bit faster. Not a Raccoon saying, what's shocking is Ocon hasn't gotten a penalty yet. It certainly is relatively shocking that his teammate has gotten multiple, but it's the same with Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez has gotten 2, Max Verstappen has been able to keep it within the lines, and I think that really shows the fact that we are able to keep it within the lines. I thought Josh is saying, refresh the map. It is working. I don't know if your eyes are working. Just check that map there in the bottom right. It is certainly working. It's just that Sainz and Sargent are out of this race, so their cars are showing in the pits right now. Oscar has got to respond, though, at the moment for the pace from Lando Norris, because Lando Norris is slowly starting to close that gap on him. It's 1.9 seconds right now. What will he be able to do in these latter stages? We have got 9 laps left of this race. We'd expect Max Verstappen to come in relatively soon. His tires are 13 laps older at the moment. As Josh Gilson says, can Max win or at least constantly point in an inferior car? My answer is yes. He would be mid-pack in a Williams or at AlphaTauri. The covert asking, did Sargent crash out? No, he didn't. He has, it looks like, possibly heat stroke, so he decided to retire from the race. As Kevin Magnussen is being told to make changes to his car because there's issues at the moment, and he comes onto the radio and goes, it doesn't make sense. So clearly a lot of frustration in the cockpit for Kevin Magnussen at the moment. He is down in P14. Just watching Alex Albon at the moment, this is the reason why he got his time penalty. Alex Albon, unfortunate. He's all the way up in 13th position, but he will get a 5-second penalty when he does come into the pits for his final time here today. George Russell currently in P2. He needs to come into the pits one more time. So does Max Verstappen ahead of him. He should pit in the next lap, lap 50, and then we should see that true pace from the Mercedes, possibly on a set of softs near the end of the race. George Russell will lose 26 seconds when he comes in the pits, but he currently has 9, 10, 11 seconds to Piastri and Norris behind him. So he will have a bit of time to make up, but the track surface is evolving very quickly, and those soft tyres are going to be very, very quick in the latter stages of this race, as Max Verstappen now starts lap 50 of 57. So only 7 laps left of this race, as EJ Enterprises asks, has Gasly served his penalty? I don't think he has, because he came in for his final pit stop, and then he received another penalty. So his penalty will likely be served after the race, with that time being added to his race time, and he'll probably drop quite a few positions, unfortunately. But that is how it works around here. George Russell trying to cool down his hands. He takes his hands off the steering wheel as he comes down the start-finish straight. He's really, really hot in that car by the looks of things. It's really, really difficult out there for all of these drivers. We saw Logan Sargent having to retire from the race because of heat stroke. He really struggled to even get out of the car. George Russell is expected to come into the pits at the end of this lap. Max Verstappen coming to the final stages of this lap right now. Will he come into the pits? Just watching a replay of George Russell taking his hands off the steering wheel, he gets really, really hot here. I think he's just trying to get some extra air into the cockpit as he takes his hands completely off the steering wheel and kind of just steers with his wrists there to try and get some more air into that cockpit and try and cool himself down. I think a lot of the drivers are battling out there with the heat right now, as Trevor Belmont just says there, Sergeant heat stroke question mark. Well, that's certainly what it looks like. He had to be helped out of his car by his engineers. He was really feeling ill, and the fact that he felt like he was going to get sick. Trevor says Sargent's not built for Formula 1, but it's such a difficult track around here. It's over 30 degrees Celsius air temperature, and they sit in that car, and it gets to about 50 degrees Celsius inside that cockpit because you're sitting essentially on the engine, as now George Russell dives into the pits. Sargent has now apparently refused any more medical attention. He has now made his way up into his own pit box and into his driver room. George Russell now comes into the pits. His visor's open. He's trying to cool down a little bit. He now leaves his pit box. 2.5 seconds is that pit stop from him. He's on a set of softs, though. That's what we expected. That's going to put up a bit of a fight for those McLarens near the end of the race. They are both ahead of him, but he has about 12 seconds to make up ahead of him, as Max Verstappen is now also being told, box, as he makes his way round the final few corners of this circuit. Pure Blood saying, George Russell, driver of the day. I'm going to end my poll now and get up a driver of the day poll for you guys. Let's have a look here. Who is your driver of the day? Please do be sure to go and vote in that poll that I am about to put up. So, your options are for driver of the day, Verstappen, of course, as he is currently leading the race. Verstappen, I'm going to put Piastri in there as well because he's doing really well. I'm going to put Russell there because he's had a great comeback race here today, as well as then the final one is going to be other, and you will have to let us know in the comments. Max Verstappen's pit stop was a 4.1 stop. Not brilliant, but he goes back out onto another set of mediums. Not going well for Max Verstappen. He's only got 32 seconds behind him. What's he going to be able to do now? He's certainly... No, I'm joking. Come on, guys. He's got 32 seconds ahead of him. 28 seconds now as he comes out of the pits. Medium tyres for Max Verstappen. Hard tyres for the McLarens behind him. Five seconds now is that time to... from Piastri to Max Verstappen. So that has come down a little bit as I put that poll up for you guys. Now, please do be sure to vote in that poll and let us know who your driver of the day is here, as Piastri so far takes the lead for that poll. Let's keep watching how that evolves here. It's certainly very interesting. TZZES says, Papaya podium once again. Certainly very, very exciting. Angie Monkey also saying, I feel like he's been a bit unlucky. I would have liked for him to have a podium at least. I'm think that means George Russell, as Russell's now 17.8 seconds behind Lando Norris. Lando Norris really pushing out there on track. Piastri now 4.0 seconds behind Max Verstappen. Will he be able to hold out and be able to gain a little bit more time? As now Gasly makes an attempt to get around the outside on Lance Stroll. He gets forced off the track there into the dirt, but he still stays out on track and joins ahead of Lance Stroll. I think he does deserve that place. He might have to give it back, as he does now give it back to Lance Stroll. No, he doesn't. He wants to give it back, as we now have 5 laps left of this race. Josh Gilson says there, if your driver of the day is not Oscar Piastri, you have a problem. And a whole bunch of other people as well, just saying Piastri for driver of the day. And Trevor asking, does George Russell need the last pit? Yes, he does. Unfortunately, because you have to pit once your tyres get to 18 laps in age, because of the stipulations from the FIA and Pirelli, because of the increased amount of degradation that we've seen around the circuit. It has rather robbed us of a great race here today, but nonetheless, it has still been very exciting watching Carlos Sainz, watching from the pits. Disappointing for him here today, as he was not able to participate at all, due to the fact that he had a fuel line issue on his Ferrari that they were not able to repair before the start of this race. Max Verstappen, 3.8 seconds now ahead of Piastri. Piastri is closing that gap to Verstappen. Could we get a last lap fight between those two drivers? As Piastri now 3.9 behind Max Verstappen. He is slowly pushing that car and closing that gap to Verstappen. But Verstappen will get that tyre up to temperature, as now Gasly is being told to give that position back to Lance Stroll. As he does now, and he... Ooh, will they go 3 wide into turn 1? Will we get another repeat of yesterday as they come into turn 2? No, it looks neat and tidy though. Thank goodness we don't get another repeat, as now Perez tries to take advantage of this and he goes to the inside. He tries to go on the inside of Lance Stroll, his former teammate. Will he be able to make this move stick? He doesn't. He gets cut off there by Lance Stroll, and he has to try and make this happen once more today. Stewards have noted a turn 1 incident involving Gasly and Stroll, which is under investigation for pushing a driver off the track. We now have just 4 laps left of this race. It has certainly been very exciting. It's been a long race, of course, 57 laps in total. We're currently on lap 54 of 57. Max Verstappen, though, quite comfortable out there. 3.7 seconds now is that gap from Piastri to Verstappen. It is starting to fall a little bit. The McLarens have really been able to match the pace of the Red Bulls here today. And great to see the fact that they haven't really got that advantage that they've had at every single other track we've come to this year. I think if we had more of a traditional race here today with normal pit stop strategies, it could have been really close between the McLarens and the Red Bulls here today. Just watching this replay of Sergio Perez trying to get past Lance Stroll. He battles multiple laps to try and make it happen. He tries through multiple corners as well, but Lance Stroll just still able to hold him off, as Lance Stroll is now handed a penalty for track limits. Or for, wait, is that for track limits or is that for pushing a driver off the track? Track limits it is. It is for track limits, unfortunately. So he will get, once again, a 5-second time penalty, as we have 3 laps left of this Qatar Grand Prix. Trevor Belmont saying Joe is like, oh, what is this place? He is currently up in... Where's Joe? He's in 12th. Not too bad from him, but certainly not where he could be. Current vote split between the official driver of the day, 27% going to Piastri, 18 to Norris, and 15 to Norris, 18 to George Russell. Iman just asking where Mark went. Mark has had to jump off and manage some other things on the other side. But thanks again for all of your really kind comments in the comment section there. Do be sure to like the video and subscribe to the Forever Motorsports channel if you want to get updated on all things Formula 1. Do be sure to go and check that channel out. We have moved away from the Forever Sports channel and taken all of the Formula 1 content and put it across there to Forever Motorsports. We put it back on Forever Sports for this weekend to try and get back some of our older audience. As Trevor Belmont says, where's Mark? Did he also get heat stroke? Yes, he has. It's really hot here in South Africa at the moment. I've got a fan blowing on me, but my back is sweating. I feel like Fernando Alonso in that car, just burning in my seat right now. Leclerc is closing on Russell by the looks of things. 4.5 seconds as Russell has really fallen back. Lando Norris really closing down, though, on his teammate right now. Sergio Perez trying to overtake now Pierre Gasly, but he is not able to make up that position. Jezza saying that I hate Lando Norris. I certainly do not. I really do like him. If that's Jeremy Clarkson, be nice. As Iman says, am I South African? Yes, I am South African. So great to see a fellow South African there in the comment section. The final 2 laps of this race is about to start as Max Verstappen starts lap 56 of 57. Just watching a replay here, Pierre Gasly getting past Sergio Perez. I don't know what is wrong for Sergio Perez here today. He just has no pace out there on track and is now down out of the points in P11. He lost out that final point position. Lando Norris currently putting in some really hot laps at the moment. He's closing down on his teammate. 1.4 seconds is that lap time right now. Just looking at his final 5 race finishes. 7th in Belgium, 7th in the Netherlands, 8th in Italy, and 2nd in Japan. He's had a good amount of race finishes. I think I just lost the Singapore one where he also went 2nd. As Anchi Manchi just says, papaya podium, we've done it, boys. As Michael says, Michael just asking what happened to Hamilton. Hamilton took himself out on the first lap, unfortunately, as black and white flags are now being shown for Russell for track limits. So if he makes any mistakes, that will be him getting a 5-second penalty, and he will lose 4th position from Charles Leclerc, as Leclerc is just within 5 seconds right now. They might have to tell him to pick up the pace to get within that 5-second gap again. Max Verstappen, though, does finally start the final lap of this, the Qatar Grand Prix. Thank you very much to all of you guys for watching alongside with me. EJ Enterprises says something wrong with Perez as he is losing quite a lot of time at the moment. He's down in P11 and he is losing quite a lot of time to Zhou Guanyu, as you say that there. Josh Gilson saying he was from Johannesburg, was sent to Rhodesia, but glad to have you nonetheless in the comment section. Max takes the fastest lap though, and he comes into the final sector. He will be coming up now to finish his lap and finish up the Grand Prix out here in Qatar. Piastri, though, 1.2 seconds ahead of his teammate George Russell, 27 seconds off of those 2 McLaren. So that is certainly a given papaya 2 and 3 here for the day. Max Verstappen, though, comes down the start-finish straight to finish the Qatar Grand Prix and take once again another finish and another race win under his belt in 2023. He already has the World Drivers' Championship under his belt as he took that yesterday in the sprint race. And once again, he does take the race here in Qatar. Brilliant from the whole bunch of drivers out here today. As now Piastri finishes up his lap and Lando Norris's. Another double podium for McLaren for the 2nd race weekend in a row. Phenomenal for all of the drivers out here. Andrew Crazy is saying it could have been a grand slam for Verstappen. Of course, with the mix-up with all of these tyre strategies here today, I don't think that was necessarily possible for him. But it has been a phenomenal day for the McLarens, as well as the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. The 2nd Red Bull, though, certainly not having the greatest day out there. He's getting chased down by Zhou Guanyu. Very, very close between those two. But disappointing for Perez, as he did get 2 time penalties, as well as now he's all the way down in P9 by the looks of things at the end, I think, with time penalties. Sorry, he finishes down in P11 as all of our drivers now come around and finish up. And Max Verstappen saying another win. Unbelievable here today. Fastest lap of the race, a pole, sprint race, 2nd. And once again, winning the race here. Jezza saying Max is teasing. He knows he can go and get the fastest lap in the end. Crazy for him. Brilliant day out for McLaren. And really quite an exciting race. It was a little bit ruined by the fact that we had to make multiple pit stops. Every single team had to make 4 pit stops out here today. Or had to do 4 separate tyres out here today. As now, the driver of the day in the poll for Formula 1 is Oscar Piastri, our driver of the day so far here in our poll. If you have not voted in that poll, there's only 133 votes for that. Do be sure to go and vote for that. And at the moment, Verstappen has 37% of that vote, Piastri with 28%, Russell with 22%, and other with 13%. Lindy was saying, what a race, so much action, could not keep up with the swapping positions after pit stops. And Trevor Belmont saying, Merc, why 4 pit stops? They had to, unfortunately, Trevor. you had to make a pit stop after your laps, after your tyres got to 18 laps old, and it was a stipulation set out by the FIA and Pirelli for this race weekend because of the fact that there was such high degradation around the circuit. And now Lando Norris says, third race weekend in a row that he's on the podium. Phenomenal for him. Singapore, Japan, and now Qatar. Phenomenal comeback for McLaren this race season. We're certainly hoping that they're going to be one of the title challengers for next year as Max Verstappen takes his spot in that first position. We're going to move over into our studio to wrap up the race here in Qatar. The Grand Prix, certainly a very exciting race for all of you guys. Let me know what you thought of it down in the comment section, and we are going to move into this. I'm just adjusting myself and then changing the title, and we will get underway for the review of the Qatar Grand Prix. Show edits, show title. Just getting things set up and ready for all of you, and then we will be moving across into the review studio. But as I say, please do be sure to let me know in the comment section what you thought of the race here today. It was certainly chaotic in that first lap, with Lewis Hamilton taking himself out, unfortunately colliding with his teammate George Russell into the first corner. But we will talk about that all in 2 seconds as we go into the Qatar Grand Prix review. And we're going to go into that studio now. There you all are. And I'm going to start recording in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports for the review of the Qatar Grand Prix, and what a race that was. Action from lap 1. We got a safety car on the start of the race because Lewis Hamilton got a little bit too close to his teammate into turn 1. He took himself out, as I said, into turn 1, hitting his rear right tyre into George Russell's front right tyre. That took the wheel off the rim, unfortunately destroying the rim and sending him into the gravel. He was unable to get his car out of the gravel, of course, with only one rear wheel, and then unfortunately that was his race over in the first lap. He was quite upset with George Russell, but it wasn't Russell's fault, as Russell did actually not have enough room to move to the inside as Max was on his inside. Lewis Hamilton still had about 2 meters to his left when he was going around the outside. Disappointing for him today. It could have been a really exciting race for him. With all of these tyre strategies, we had 4 different tyres for every single driver out here today. Max Verstappen doing a medium, medium, hard, medium stint. Piastri doing a medium, 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 hard. Both the McLarens doing that. Russell, of course, having that incident in lap 1, he had to come into the pits. He did a medium, medium, hard, soft. And then the rest of the grid pretty much did the same as those top 3. So to make our way through the top runners for the race here today, Max Verstappen took another race win here today in Qatar. Another dominant win for him. Of course, with a very difficult race, we're seeing Oscar Piastri looking very, very hot and tired there, sitting waiting for his interview. It was certainly really hot here around the Qatar circuit. But to go over our top 20 drivers, Verstappen finished in first, with Piastri second and Lando Norris in third for the third Grand Prix in a row that McLaren have been able to be on the podium. George Russell then finishing in fourth after having a great comeback after that collision with Lewis Hamilton. Charles Leclerc finishes in fifth. Disappointing that his teammate Carlos Sainz was not able to participate in the race due to a fuel line issue on his Ferrari that the Ferrari mechanics were not able to resolve before the start of the race. Fernando Alonso, even with a mistake, he was able to finish up in P6. We would have liked for him to get on the podium today, but damage limitation for him, as we said, after his incident. Into turn 15, he had a bit of a oversteer moment, went into the gravel, but nonetheless, still a good comeback to stay into sixth there. Ocon then finishing 7th, Bottas 8th, Zhou Guanyu 9th. Sergio Perez not having the greatest day. He got overlapped by his teammate Max Verstappen. He finishes down in P10. Lance Stroll in 11th, Gasly 12th, Albon in 13th, Magnussen 14th, Yuki Tsunoda 15th, Nico Hulkenberg in 16th, Lawson in 17th, and then our DNFs from the race were Logan Sargent, Lewis Hamilton, and then of course Carlos Sainz did not start the race at all. Logan Sargent had to retire from the race, unfortunately, because he was suffering with what looks like either hectic dehydration or possibly some heat stroke in the car today. We heard that it could have been about a 50-degree temperature in the cockpit of those cars. Certainly very uncomfortable for the drivers, and certainly very, very difficult conditions for them out there. We're watching Lando Norris getting interviewed now. He's completely drenched in sweat in his McLaren balaclavas. It was a very difficult day out there for them. Lando Norris was really closing down on Oscar Piastri in the last few stages, but Oscar Piastri on the weekend where he took his first race win, he still gets another race podium. Phenomenal for the rookie. We're really going to be watching what happens to him throughout the rest of the season, as well as what happens to him throughout the rest of his racing career. Josh Hilario says they should have let Lando pass. I disagree with you there. Piastri's had a phenomenal race weekend, and he has really deserved to get those double podiums yesterday in the sprint race and today as well in the main event. But that has been it for me here at Reece on Forever Motorsports. Brought to you by Forever Sports. It has been a chaotic race here in Qatar with that first lap incident between Hamilton and Russell, and then some really interesting overtakes throughout the race as well, introduced by the fact that drivers had to box every time their tires got to 18 laps old due to the stipulation from the FIA and Pirelli, due to the high degradation that we saw around the circuit. They didn't want to repeat of 2021 where we had tire blowouts, which meant that every time your tires got to 18 laps old, you had to dive into the pits and put on a new set of tires, which is why we had drivers putting on 4 different sets of tires throughout this race. But once again, thank you very much for watching me here on Forever Sports, brought to you by Forever Motorsports. I've been Reece. Mark joined me as well through the stream. He says, thank you very much for joining us. We hope to see you though through on our next stream here on Forever Motorsports. Please do be sure to go and check out our channel. That brings you that brings you daily Formula One news and Formula One content. Thank you very much though. I'm going to go and eat some dinner and have a good, well-rested break. But we'll be sure to see you at the next race out in Austin. And we're certainly looking forward to that, as Daniel Ricciardo should be back on the grid. Cheers.